All right, be honest. Have you ever woken up from a dream so weird, so random, that you just laid there thinking, what was that? Like, one minute you're chilling at your old high school cafeteria, the next minute you're riding a giant penguin through outer space, and somehow it made sense while you were dreaming. Or maybe it's the classic one. You're standing in front of a crowd, everyone's staring, and suddenly you realize you forgot to wear pants. Yep, been there. Or worse, trying to run away from something, but your legs feel like they're made of jelly. Dreams, man. They're like the ultimate glitch in the human experience. We all have them. Some are fun, some are terrifying, some are so ridiculously random that you can't even begin to explain them. But here's the crazy part. Even with all the fancy tech, brain scans, and sleep studies, scientists still can't fully explain why we dream. Yeah, your brain basically plays its own late-night movie, and no one knows exactly why. So, what exactly is a dream? Well, technically, dreams are a series of thoughts, images, sensations, and emotions that happen in your mind while you're sleeping. Most often during a stage called REM sleep, short for rapid eye movement. That's the part of your sleep where your brain is super active. Your eyes dart around under your eyelids like you're watching a thriller, but your body is basically paralyzed, so you don't act out your dreams. Which, thankfully, imagine your partner suddenly karate kicking you in their sleep. But here's the trippy part. Dreams can feel real. You can feel emotions, fear, excitement, sadness, even though your body is lying there, completely still. Now, scientists have been trying to crack the dream code for centuries. And guess what? They've got theories, but no solid answers. First, there's Sigmund Freud, the famous psychologist with a thing for deep, sometimes too deep, interpretations. He believed dreams are basically your subconscious trying to send you secret messages, all your hidden fears, desires, and urges wrapped up in weird symbolism. According to Freud, that dream about flying? Maybe it's your mind expressing your desire for freedom. That nightmare about being chased? Could be unresolved anxiety. And, well, let's just say Freud had some interesting takes on certain dreams involving exes, if you know what I mean. But not all scientists buy into Freud's theories. There's another popular idea called the activation synthesis hypothesis, which basically says dreams are your brain's way of making sense of random electrical signals while you sleep. It's like your brain gets bored, random neurons fire off, and your brain, being the overachiever it is, tries to weave those signals into a story. Sometimes that story makes sense. Most times, it absolutely does not. Other researchers think dreaming is actually a mental detox. Your brain's cleaning house, sorting memories, processing emotions, and tossing out mental junk you don't need. Kind of like hitting Control-Alt-Delete on your emotional hard drive. Some studies even suggest dreaming helps with problem solving. You know how sometimes you sleep on it and wake up with clarity? Maybe that's your brain working overtime while you snooze. But even with all those theories, no one can fully, definitively explain it. Why do some people dream in black and white? Why do some people never remember their dreams? And what's the deal with recurring dreams where your teeth fall out? Yeah, that one's surprisingly common. Here's a fun fact to blow your mind. Did you know that before color TV was a thing, most people reported dreaming in black and white? Yep, Researchers in the 40s and 50s found that a large chunk of people claimed their dreams had no color, just grayscale, like an old movie. But as color TV became mainstream, suddenly more people started reporting colorful dreams. Kind of wild how the media might actually influence what your subconscious does. And it gets weirder. Some of the greatest inventions and artistic masterpieces? Yep, inspired by dreams. Dmitri Mendeleev, the guy who created the periodic table, he said the complete layout of the elements came to him in a dream. Paul McCartney, he dreamed the melody for Yesterday, one of the Beatles' most famous songs. And Mary Shelley dreamed up the concept for Frankenstein, literally nightmare fuel turned literary classic. So yeah, your brain isn't just messing around while you sleep. It might be trying to solve your problems, inspire you, or, just freak you out with a dream about showing up naked to math class. But the big question still hangs in the air. Why do we dream? Are they meaningful, or is it all just your brain running wild? What do you think? Have you ever had a dream that completely shook you, or maybe a dream so ridiculous you woke up laughing? Drop your weirdest, craziest, or most confusing dreams in the comments. I love reading that stuff. And hey, if you've never had a weird dream, maybe tonight's the night. Sweet dreams. Or strange ones.
Déjà vu. Why do we sometimes feel like we've lived this moment before? Okay, real talk. Have you ever been in the middle of doing something totally normal, like walking into a room, having a conversation, or even just sipping your coffee, and suddenly, bam, you get this weird, trippy feeling like, wait a sec, I've been here before. The people, the words, the exact vibe of the moment, it all feels so familiar. But here's the kicker. You know for a fact this is happening for the first time. That, my friend, is what we call déjà vu. Literally French for already seen. And let me tell you, it's one of the weirdest glitches in the human brain. And yeah, scientists are still trying to figure it out. And hey, if this has ever happened to you, you know how spooky it feels. It's like your brain is playing a prank on you, making you believe you've lived through this exact moment, even though logically, you know you haven't. So, what exactly is déjà vu? Well, on the surface, it feels like a memory, but it's a memory of something that supposedly never happened. It's this bizarre overlap between your present experience and your sense of memory. Your brain, for a brief moment, gets its wires crossed, and suddenly the ordinary feels eerily familiar. And guess what? You're not alone. Studies show that about 60 to 80% of people experience déjà vu at least once in their lives. It's most common in people between the ages of 15 and 25, which probably explains why it happens a lot during those chaotic high school and college years. Stress, lack of sleep, or even traveling to new places can trigger it. But here's where it gets fun. Scientists have been scratching their heads over déjà vu for decades, and the theories, they're all over the place. 1. The brain glitch theory. One popular idea is it's basically a temporary brain hiccup. Imagine your brain has two systems for processing experiences. One that registers what's happening right now, and another that logs it as a memory. Well, sometimes those systems get out of sync. Your brain accidentally files the now moment into the memory folder, making you feel like you've experienced it before, even though, logically, you haven't. It's like your brain hits Control-C and Control-V at the same time, and suddenly reality feels like a rerun. 2. The parallel universe theory, for the sci-fi fans. Okay, this one's way more out there, but hey, some people love it. The idea is maybe déjà vu happens when parallel universes momentarily overlap. So when you feel like you've been in a situation before, maybe another version of you in an alternate timeline really has been there. Mind-blowing? Totally. Scientifically proven? Not even close. But it does make for awesome late-night debates. 3. The memory overlap theory. Another theory suggests déjà vu happens when your brain accidentally compares your current experience to fragments of old memories that feel similar, but your brain can't quite place where they're from. It's kind of like walking into a brand new coffee shop, but something about the smell, the music, or the vibe triggers a forgotten memory of another place, another time, and boom, déjà vu. Here's a crazy fact. Déjà vu isn't just a human thing. Some studies suggest that certain animals, like rats, show signs of spatial familiarity, which is basically their version of déjà vu when they explore new environments. So maybe your cat's spacing out for no reason? Who knows? Déjà vu moment. And speaking of weird experiences, did you know that people with temporal lobe epilepsy often report intense déjà vu right before they have a seizure? Yep, it's actually considered a warning sign in some cases. That's led scientists to believe déjà vu might be linked to electrical activity in a specific part of your brain, your temporal lobe, which plays a huge role in memory processing. But here's the thing. Even with brain scans and fancy research, no one has cracked the code for sure. Déjà vu remains one of those everyday mysteries that science just hasn't figured out yet. Now, I gotta ask, have you ever had déjà vu? Maybe you were hanging out with friends or walking down a street you've never been on before, and suddenly that weird wave of "I've totally done this" hits you. Creepy? Comforting? Totally confusing? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing other people's glitch in the matrix moments. And hey, maybe it's a brain glitch, maybe it's the multiverse, or maybe, just maybe, your brain knows something you don't. Either way, déjà vu is just another one of those strange, unexplained things our bodies and minds do. How does your body heal itself? All right, real talk. Have you ever gotten a cut or a scrape? Maybe from cooking or tripping over literally nothing because, hey, gravity is rude, and a few days later, it's gone? No doctor, no magic potion, your body just fixed itself. Like you're some kind of low-key superhero. It's honestly one of the wildest, most underrated things about being human. You bleed, your skin breaks, you maybe panic for a second, but then slowly but surely, your body goes, "Don't worry, I got this." And before you know it, new skin, all patched up. Sometimes there's a scar as a little battle souvenir, but still, the fact that your body can repair itself, pretty freaking amazing. But here's the thing. Even though scientists understand a lot about how wounds heal, there are still parts of the process, especially the more complex stuff, that remain kind of a mystery. Why do some people heal faster than others? Why can't our bodies regenerate like some animals? And how come we can fix a cut, but not, say, regrow a finger? Yeah, let's dive in. So when you hurt yourself, like a cut, a scrape, a bruise, your body goes into full repair mode. It's basically like your cells have a 24/7 emergency response team. First up, your body sends platelets, little cell fragments that help your blood clot to seal the wound. That's why you get a scab. It's basically a biological Band-Aid. Next, white blood cells roll in to clean up, fighting off bacteria and clearing out damaged tissue. Think of them as microscopic janitors with attitude. Then your body starts rebuilding with new skin cells, blood vessels, and connective tissue. If all goes well, everything knits back together, and eventually the scab falls off. Ta-da! Good as new, mostly. Sounds simple, right? But here's where it gets complicated. See, scientists mostly understand the basics, the clotting, the cell division, the immune response, but there are still so many unanswered questions about the limits of human healing and why we can't heal certain things. For example, Why can a cut on your skin heal, but your heart muscle after a heart attack? Not so much. Why can some animals, like starfish, salamanders, and certain lizards, literally regenerate whole limbs or tails? But humans? Nope. It turns out the ability to regenerate is incredibly complex. In animals like salamanders, they have special cells called blastema cells, basically blank slate cells that can regrow entire body parts. Humans, we kind of lost that evolutionary superpower somewhere along the way. Our stem cells help with healing to an extent, but full-on regrowing lost limbs? Still sci-fi. And get this, some researchers believe the reason we don't regenerate like certain animals might be actually a built-in defense mechanism to avoid things like cancer. See, rapidly growing and dividing cells can be helpful for regeneration, but if those cells go rogue, well, that's how tumors happen. So basically, evolution made a trade-off: better protection against cancer, less impressive regeneration. But we're still trying to crack the code. Scientists are studying creatures like salamanders and zebrafish to unlock the secrets of regeneration, with the hope that maybe one day humans could heal injuries or even regrow lost tissues in ways that seem impossible right now. Here's a wild fact. Your liver is the only human organ that can naturally regenerate, to a point. If you lose up to 2/3 of your liver, the remaining part can actually grow back to its full size. How crazy is that? It's basically the closest thing we have to a regenerative superpower. And yet, ask your body to regrow a finger, no dice. Also, did you know your skin completely replaces itself roughly every 28 to 30 days? Yep, you're basically shedding old you and becoming a new version of yourself every month. No wonder your bed sheets get dusty. That's you. Sorry for the visual. So, next time you get a paper cut, because somehow those tiny things hurt worse than real injuries, just remember your body's repair crew is already on it. But imagine a future where we could regrow lost limbs, heal damaged hearts, reverse spinal cord injuries. That's what scientists are chasing, and honestly, it might not be pure science fiction forever. But until then, your body's self-healing abilities, as cool as they are still partly a mystery. What do you think? If you could choose one superhuman healing power, like regenerating a limb, never getting sick, or healing super fast, what would it be? Drop it in the comments. I want to know.
Hiccups. Why do we get them? Has this ever happened to you? You're chilling, maybe eating, drinking, laughing with your friends, and suddenly, hic! Your body decides to interrupt the moment with that awkward little noise. You try to ignore it, but nope. Hic! It's back. And then comes the classic routine: holding your breath, drinking water upside down, asking your friend to scare you, desperate to stop the madness. Yep, we've all been there. Hiccups. Those tiny, random, super annoying body glitches. But here's the wild part. Even though hiccups are one of the most common human experiences ever, science still doesn't fully know why they happen. Crazy, right? Let's break it down. So what actually is a hiccup? Technically, it's an involuntary contraction, a little muscle spasm of your diaphragm. That's the dome-shaped muscle below your lungs that helps you breathe. Here's how it works. Your diaphragm suddenly contracts, totally out of your control. Your vocal cords snap shut, and hic! You make that weird little sound. Simple enough, but why does your diaphragm spasm in the first place? That's where the mystery kicks in. Scientists have a few theories about hiccups, some more convincing than others, but no universal agreement. Let's run through the big ones. 1. The eating or drinking too fast theory. This one's probably happened to you. You eat too quickly,
You drink something fizzy, you laugh while swallowing. All that air and sudden movement irritates your diaphragm, and boom, hiccups. 2. The ancient reflex theory. Here's where it gets weird. Some scientists believe hiccups are leftover evolutionary reflex, basically biological baggage from our animal ancestors. The idea is that millions of years ago, when life was still figuring itself out, early amphibians, like tadpoles, had a similar nerve reflex that helped them control breathing and swallowing, especially when transitioning between water and land. Hiccups might just be a glitchy, ancient leftover from that system that our bodies never got rid of. So, congratulations, your annoying hiccups might be your body's way of saying, hey, remember when we were fish? The third theory is the nerve irritation theory. Your diaphragm is controlled by the phrenic nerve and the vagus nerve, both super sensitive. If these nerves get irritated, maybe from eating spicy food, sudden temperature changes, stress, or even excitement, your diaphragm can spasm and hiccups follow. But here's the thing. These theories cover some cases, but they don't explain why hiccups sometimes happen completely randomly. Why do babies hiccup so much? Seriously, newborns hiccup constantly. And why some hiccups last for hours, even days. Yep, there are real cases of people having chronic hiccups for weeks or even years, and doctors still can't always explain why. Want to hear something wild? The record for the longest hiccup attack goes to a man named Charles Osborne, who hiccuped, wait for it, for 68 years straight. No joke, from 1922 to 1990, this guy hiccuped non-stop. Doctors couldn't figure out exactly why, although some suspected a minor brain injury triggered it, but still, that's got to be the most annoying world record ever. Also, did you know even animals get hiccups? Researchers have observed hiccup-like spasms in puppies, kittens, and even frogs, which kind of supports that whole ancient reflex idea. And fun fact, babies start hiccuping before they're even born, like inside the womb. Scientists think it might help develop their breathing muscles, but again, no one knows for sure. So yeah, next time you get the hiccups, as annoying as they are, just remember, it's your body being weird, ancient, and mysterious all at once. But hey, gotta ask, what's the weirdest or longest hiccup attack you've ever had? Have you ever tried those ridiculous home remedies? Holding your breath? Drinking from the wrong side of the glass? Getting scared? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing people's hiccup hacks, even if most of them totally don't work. And who knows, maybe in a few years, science will finally figure it out. Or maybe we're stuck with this awkward leftover from our fish ancestors.
Eyelid twitching. Have you ever just been sitting there, maybe scrolling your phone or waiting in line, and suddenly, boop, your eyelid starts twitching out of nowhere, and you're like, hello? What is this? Am I glitching? Is my body trying to tell me something? Yeah, it's weird, right? You weren't doing anything stressful, you weren't blinking too much, and suddenly, your eye just decides to have a mini dance party on its own. For some people, it happens just once and then it stops. For others, it keeps going all day and totally messes with your focus. And let's be honest, once it starts, you can't unfeel it. You start sitting there, waiting, like, is it gonna twitch again? Is it done? Nope, there it goes again. Some folks even start to panic a little. Is this a sign of something serious? Am I stressed? Is this caffeine? Or am I cursed? Yeah, believe it or not, in some cultures, eyelid twitching is even seen as a supernatural sign. But let's get into that later. First, let's ask the big question. Why does this even happen? Why does your body do this random, annoying thing? Here's a fun little fact to kick us off. Scientists actually have a name for this. It's called myokymia. Sounds fancy, but really, it's just the technical term for a tiny involuntary muscle spasm, usually around your eye. And get this, it's not just humans. Even animals can experience these random muscle twitches. Yeah, somewhere out there, a cat's eyelid is probably twitching right now, and they have no idea why either. What's even more fun, sometimes when your lower eyelid twitches, some people think it means you'll receive good news. And when the upper eyelid twitches, it means you're about to cry. Do I believe that? Not really. But is it kind of cool? Definitely. So let's talk about science for a second. What's actually happening when your eyelid decides to go rogue? Your eyelids have a bunch of tiny muscles that work together to help you blink, protect your eyes, and keep them moisturized. Most of the time, they're on autopilot. You don't even notice them working. But sometimes, one of those little muscles starts to fire on its own, sending tiny electrical signals that cause the twitching. Think of it like a group chat. Most of the time, everyone's quiet, but then one friend randomly spams the chat with, hey, 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 over and over. That's your eyelid muscle when it twitches. Scientists know that certain things can trigger this, like stress, lack of sleep, too much caffeine, eye strain from screens. But here's the thing. None of these are guaranteed causes. You could be super chill, well-rested, and caffeine-free, and your eye might still twitch. Or you could be mega stressed, chugging coffee like a maniac, and your eyelids don't twitch at all. So yeah, it's kind of a mystery. Let's dig deeper into the popular theories. Scientists have some educated guesses, but no one can say 100% why it happens. Theory 1. Fatigue and stress overload. When you're tired or stressed, your nervous system gets a little jumpy. It starts sending misfired signals to your muscles, and your poor eyelid catches the crossfire. Sounds reasonable, right? But then again, people have reported eyelid twitching when they're totally relaxed. So it's not a perfect answer. Theory 2. Eye strain from screens. This one's super relevant today. Our eyeballs aren't built to stare at glowing rectangles for 12 hours a day. When you overuse your eyes, especially without breaks, some doctors think your eye muscles can spasm from overwork. But guess what? People who don't even use screens that much still experience this. So, again, not the full story. Theory 3. Caffeine and stimulants. Too much caffeine can make your nervous system hyperactive, right? Some experts say this can cause small muscles, like the ones in your eyelids, to misfire. Sounds like a perfect excuse to cut back on that third cup of coffee. But just like before, there are people who never drink caffeine and still get eyelid twitching. So maybe coffee isn't the villain here. Theory 4. Nutritional imbalance. Some researchers think low magnesium or potassium might play a role. These minerals help regulate muscle function, and if they're out of balance, muscles can spasm randomly. But even people with perfectly healthy diets still get this. So the theory? Not bulletproof. Theory 5. The brain glitch. Here's a fun one. Maybe it's just a brain glitch, like your brain sometimes accidentally fires unnecessary signals to small muscle groups, kind of like a misclick on a keyboard. It doesn't mean anything broken. It's just one of those weird, harmless human things. But yeah, science doesn't have a solid answer for why this keeps happening. It's basically a shrug emoji. Okay, here's where it gets juicy. Even after decades of studying it, no one actually knows the full cause of eyelid twitching. There's no definitive biological pathway, there's no single chemical imbalance that perfectly explains it, and there's no guaranteed cure. Sometimes it lasts for a few seconds, sometimes hours, sometimes weeks. Yep, there are real cases where people's eyelids twitch non-stop for months without any medical explanation. Doctors ran every possible test, brain scans, nerve studies, blood work, nothing came up. So why does it happen? Why can't we control it? Why does it show up randomly and leave just as randomly? Honestly, the scientific answer right now is we still don't fully know. It's like your body's way of reminding you, hey, you don't have me all figured out yet. Here's a weird twist. In ancient Chinese superstitions, people believed that left eye twitching meant good luck was coming, while right eye twitching meant bad luck. But wait, other parts of China flipped that entirely. In some regions, right eye twitching was lucky. So apparently, even superstitions couldn't agree. Also, did you know there's an actual condition called benign essential blepharospasm? Yeah, it's like eyelid twitching's evil twin. It causes intense, uncontrollable eye spasms that can make it hard to see. It's super rare, but it shows that sometimes the body can take a harmless twitch and crank it up to 100. And here's another fun fact. Eyelid twitching can sometimes move to different muscles. Some people start with eye twitches and later notice little muscle spasms in their cheeks, lips, or even arms. It's like your nervous system gets bored and decides to play somewhere else. So the next time your eyelid starts twitching, don't panic. You're probably fine. It's just your body's way of throwing you a mini glitch. Maybe it's telling you to chill. Maybe it's telling you to blink more. Or maybe it's just being weird. And honestly, isn't it kind of cool that even in this high-tech world where we've mapped the human genome and explored outer space, there are still simple body quirks like this that science just can't fully explain? I love that. It keeps life mysterious. But hey, have you ever had a super annoying eyelid twitch that just wouldn't stop? Did it happen at the worst possible time, like during a meeting, a date, or while you were trying to fall asleep? Drop your story in the comments. I want to know I'm not the only one in this.
The feeling of being watched. You're just sitting somewhere, maybe working, scrolling your phone, chilling at a coffee shop, or walking along, and then suddenly you feel it. You feel that tingling sensation in the back of your neck, that weird heaviness in the air. It's like your body whispers, "Hey, someone's watching you." Your heart beats a little faster. Your eyes dart around. You turn your head slowly, expecting to see someone staring at you, but no one's there. Creepy, right? Sometimes you actually are being watched. Sometimes you lock eyes with someone across the room, and you're like, "Aha, gotcha." But sometimes it's just a false alarm. Why does this happen? Why do we get this strange, almost primal feeling that someone's eyes are on us, even when we have zero evidence? Well, guess what? Science doesn't fully know either. And that's why this is one of the coolest unsolved mysteries about our own bodies. Here's a fun fact to kick us off. There's actually a name for this. It's called the gaze detection phenomenon. And humans are weirdly good at this, like way better than we probably should be. In fact, studies show that people can sense when someone's looking at them even when they're outside their peripheral vision. Yep, somehow, even when someone's behind you, you might feel it before you see it. Cool, yes. Explained? Not really. So how does this work? Scientists think this ability might be linked to how our brains process faces and eyes. You see, our brains are wired to pay attention to our eyes. Why? Because eyes tell us about attention, threat, safety, and social cues. From the time we're babies, we're basically programmed to track eye contact. There's even a part of the brain called the superior temporal sulcus. This little region lights up when we see eyes, faces, or anything that looks like someone might be watching us. But here's the twist. Sometimes this part of the brain activates even when no one's actually watching us. So it's like your body has this super sensitive alarm system that's always on, always scanning, always looking for danger. And sometimes it triggers false alarms. You feel watched, you get goosebumps, but there's no one there. Okay, let's dive into some of the most popular theories scientists have come up with to explain this creepy little phenomenon. Theory 1. Evolutionary survival. Back in ancient times, getting watched often meant you were in danger. Maybe a predator was stalking you. Maybe an enemy was nearby. So our ancestors needed to develop a kind of sixth sense to detect when something was staring at them, even if they couldn't see it directly. Some scientists believe that feeling watched is a leftover survival instinct. It's better to have a false alarm than to miss a real threat, right? So our brains evolved to be overly cautious. This would explain why we sometimes sense eyes on us even when we're completely safe. But here's the thing. If that's true, why is the feeling still so strong in modern life, where there are no tigers hiding behind bushes? Still a mystery. Theory 2. Peripheral vision superpowers. Some researchers think maybe we're actually seeing more than we realize. Our peripheral vision, what we see out of our eyes, is much more sensitive to movement and shapes than we consciously notice. So maybe you're not feeling someone's watching you, you're subconsciously picking up small movements, eye directions, or body language without realizing it. Your brain fills in the blanks and says, someone's looking at you, even though you weren't directly focused on them. But that doesn't explain why sometimes we feel watched when no one's there at all. Theory 3. Self-fulfilling fear. Some psychologists believe this whole thing could just be a trick of the mind. When you think someone might be watching you, your brain starts scanning your surroundings harder. The more you focus on it, the more convinced you become. It's kind of like when you're home alone and you start hearing every little sound. Suddenly, the fridge humming sounds like footsteps. Our brains are really good at making connections, even when those connections don't exist. Theory 4. Mirror neurons. Some scientists think mirror neurons might be involved. These are special brain cells that help you understand what other people are doing and feeling. Basically, they help you mirror their behavior in your own mind. Some believe that when someone is staring at you, even from behind, your mirror neurons might pick up on subtle cues and fire off a warning. Hey, attention incoming. But guess what? There's still no solid proof that mirror neurons can work at that distance or without direct visual contact. So, once again, science is stumped. Here's where things get really spooky. There have been experiments where people were blindfolded and could still sense being stared at. In some tests, participants could tell, with higher than chance accuracy, whether someone was watching them from behind. How? We don't know. There's no confirmed biological system that can detect gaze without vision. There's no confirmed magnetic field around our heads that can feel eyes. But people still report this sensation all over the world. It's universal across ages, cultures, and backgrounds. It's like our bodies have a built-in radar that science hasn't fully discovered yet. Even more wild, some people have reported feeling watched by cameras, not by people, just by surveillance equipment. Even when they didn't consciously know the camera was there, they still felt it. We don't know if that's real, coincidence, or just paranoia, but it definitely adds another layer to the mystery. Here's something cool. In animals, this feeling is actually super common. Prey animals like deer, rabbits, and birds often freeze when they sense being watched, even if the predator hasn't made a sound. Some scientists think this isn't just a feeling. It's an actual survival mechanism that's deeply embedded in the animal kingdom. Also, did you know that some cultures believe that the feeling of being watched is a sign from the spiritual world? Like your ancestors or spirits are watching over you. In other places, people believe that it's a sign of bad luck, or even a warning that something bad is about to happen. Do I believe in that? Maybe, maybe not. But I love that this feeling crosses science, culture, and spirituality in such a powerful way. So the next time you feel that little shiver on your neck, that invisible spotlight, ask yourself, are you really being watched? Or is your brain just playing tricks on you? Either way, I think it's kind of awesome that our bodies still have these ancient, mysterious instincts that even modern science can't fully crack. What about you? Have you ever had a moment where you knew someone was staring and you turned and caught them in the act? Or maybe you felt watched but nobody was there. I want to hear your creepy, weird, funny stories. Drop them in the comments.
Intuition or gut feeling. Have you ever just known something without having a logical reason? Like, you meet someone for the first time, and something inside you whispers, I don't trust this person. Or maybe you're walking down the street, everything seems normal, but suddenly this little alarm in your gut goes off, telling you to turn around, avoid that alley, or leave that area. Then later, you find out there was actually a reason to be cautious. Creepy? A little. Mysterious? Absolutely. Explained by science? Well, not completely. That, my friend, is what we call intuition. Or, as some people like to say, a gut feeling. And to this day, science is still trying to fully understand how it works. Here's something super weird to think about. Your gut, your literal digestive system, has its own nervous system. It's called the enteric nervous system, and it has over 500 million neurons, which is almost as many as a cat's brain. That's why scientists sometimes call your gut the second brain. And get this, it communicates with your actual brain all the time through a connection called the gut-brain axis. So when people say they have a gut feeling, it might not just be a figure of speech. Your gut is literally sending signals to your brain, influencing your emotions, decisions, and maybe even your survival instincts. Wild, right? Okay, so let's break this down. Intuition is basically your ability to understand or sense something without conscious reasoning. It's like your brain skipping all the boring data analysis and going straight to the conclusion. You just know. Scientists believe intuition happens because your brain is constantly absorbing massive amounts of information, way more than your conscious mind can process. Your eyes, ears, skin, and gut are all sending signals. Your subconscious picks up on patterns, body language, micro-expressions, and environmental cues. But all of this happens behind the scenes. Then suddenly, boom, you get a feeling. You can't explain it logically, you can't prove it, but it feels real. The problem? Sometimes that feeling is accurate, and sometimes your brain is just messing with you. There are a few popular theories about where intuition comes from. Let's go through them. Theory 1, subconscious pattern recognition. Your brain is like a supercomputer, constantly analyzing patterns based on your life experience. Maybe you've met hundreds of people with certain body language that made you uncomfortable. Your brain remembers that, even if you don't. So when you meet someone new who triggers those same subtle patterns, your intuition goes, I don't trust this person. It's not magic. It's just your brain working faster than your conscious mind can keep up with. Theory 2, evolutionary survival instinct. Imagine being a caveman or cavewoman out in the wild. There were no streetlights, no security cameras, no Google Maps. Your survival depended on sensing danger before it was obvious. Over millions of years, humans may have evolved the ability to pick up on tiny environmental clues, a broken twig, a faint scent, a shift in animal sounds that triggered that gut feeling, something's not right, move. Even today, that ancient instinct might still kick in, even when we don't consciously know why. Theory 3, the gut-brain connection. Remember your second brain, the gut. Some scientists believe your digestive system isn't just for breaking down pizza and coffee. It also plays a huge role in emotions, decision-making, and, intuition. When you feel nervous or sense danger, your gut produces hormones and neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which communicate directly with your brain. This could explain why anxiety, excitement, and intuition all seem to start in your belly. So when you say, I had a bad feeling in my gut, you're not being dramatic. You might literally be feeling your body processing subconscious danger signals. Here's the part where things get spooky and where science hits a wall. There are tons of documented cases where people had gut feelings that saved their lives. Stories like someone suddenly deciding not to get on a plane, and that plane crashes.
a person avoiding a certain street, only to find out later there was a robbery or accident there. Soldiers or police officers reporting that something felt wrong moments before danger appeared. Now, sure, skeptics say this is just coincidence or selective memory. We remember the times intuition was right and forget the times it wasn't. But there's no denying how powerful these feelings can be. And here's what's really freaky. In some cases, people report knowing things they could possibly not know based on sensory input, like sensing danger in situations where there were no obvious clues. Could it be that humans have some kind of latent, unexplained ability, like a real-life sixth sense? Science says maybe, but so far we don't have solid proof. And that makes intuition one of the coolest, most mysterious tricks our bodies can pull. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Intuition isn't just for danger. Studies show that people with strong intuition often make better business and relationship decisions, too. Some CEOs and entrepreneurs swear by their gut instincts when making million-dollar choices. Even in sports, athletes talk about being in the zone, where their body reacts perfectly without overthinking. That's a form of intuition, too. Also, did you know women statistically report stronger intuitive feelings than men? Scientists think it might be linked to evolutionary roles in caregiving and threat detection. Pretty cool, right? So, next time your gut tells you something, listen to it. It might just be your subconscious working overtime to keep you safe, happy, or successful. But hey, don't throw logic out the window completely. Intuition isn't always perfect. It's like that friend who's usually right, but also kind of dramatic. What about you? Have you ever had a gut feeling that turned out to be totally true? Or maybe your intuition led you completely astray and you regretted it?
The super immunity mystery. We all have that one friend. You know who I'm talking about. The one who's out partying till 3 a.m., survives on instant noodles and energy drinks, never exercises, and yet they never get sick. Meanwhile, you touch a public door handle once, boom, you're in bed for 3 days with the flu. How is that fair? It almost feels like some people are walking around with built-in superpowers, like their immune system is in beast mode while the rest of us are stuck on beginner settings. But here's the crazy part. Even with all our medical knowledge and fancy lab equipment, science still can't fully explain why certain people seem to have extraordinary immunity. It's like their bodies have secret cheat codes and nobody gave the rest of us the memo. Okay, get this. There are actually people walking around who are basically genetic superheroes, and they often don't even know it. Some rare individuals are naturally immune to certain deadly diseases. HIV, for example. Their bodies literally block the virus from getting inside their cells, thanks to a rare mutation called CCR5 delta 32. That's right. These folks can be exposed to the virus and still not get infected. No vaccine, no medication, just pure biological luck. Insane, right? So how does immunity even work in the first place? Let's break it down, real simple. Your immune system is like the security team of your body. Its job? Spot intruders like viruses, bacteria, or anything sketchy and eliminate them. This squad includes white blood cells, antibodies, natural killer cells, and a whole bunch of other microscopic warriors. For most people, this system works okay. You get sick occasionally, recover, and your immune system learns from it. But for some lucky folks, it's like they've got the elite special ops version of the immune system. Viruses show up and their body's like, not today. So why do some people have this super immunity? Here are the leading theories, and yeah, it's still partly a mystery. Theory 1. Genetic mutations. We mentioned CCR5 delta 32, but there are tons of other rare gene mutations that can boost your immunity. Some help your body produce extra strong antibodies. Others create natural resistance to bacteria or viruses.
It's basically winning the genetic lottery without even buying a ticket. Theory 2. Environmental factors. Where you grew up matters. If you were exposed to tons of germs as a kid, playing in the dirt, living with pets, eating questionable snacks off the floor, your immune system probably got extra training. They call this the hygiene hypothesis. Meanwhile, people who grew up in ultra-clean environments sometimes end up with weaker immunity. Sorry, neat freaks. Theory 3. Gut health. Remember the gut-brain thing we talked about earlier? Turns out, your gut is also super connected to your immune system. A healthy gut full of diverse, good bacteria can strengthen your body's defenses. Some studies suggest people with better gut health get sick less often, though it's not the full story. Theory 4. Random luck. Yep, plain old randomness. Some people just happen to have immune systems that are hyper-efficient, and science doesn't completely know why. Here's where it gets interesting. Doctors and scientists can identify some reasons for superimmunity, but often they run tests on people who never get sick, and nothing unusual shows up. No rare genes, no special white blood cells, no magical gut bacteria. Just unexplained resilience. There are also people who survive extreme diseases with no medical explanation, like people who've been exposed to Ebola or severe strains of the flu and walked away fine. Some who never caught COVID-19 despite constant exposure. Entire isolated communities who seem naturally resistant to certain illnesses. It baffles researchers. Are there hidden factors we just don't understand yet? Probably. Could the mind play a role? Possibly. There's growing research into how stress, optimism, and mental state affect immunity, but it's still early days. Oh, and get this, there's even a smaller group of people known as elite controllers. These are folks living with HIV, but the virus doesn't progress or damage their bodies. Their immune systems basically keep it on lockdown, naturally. Scientists have studied these rare individuals for years, hoping their biology holds the secret to curing major diseases. So far, lots of clues, but no full answers. Also, did you know your immune system isn't static? It actually changes based on how much you sleep, your stress levels, diet, and exercise. Even your relationships. Yep, some studies suggest strong social connections can help boost immunity. So, making friends is basically good for your health. Your introverted side might hate that fact, but it's true. Look, we might not all have the immunity of a Marvel superhero, but understanding how wild and mysterious our bodies are, that's pretty cool in itself. So the next time your friend brags about never getting sick, you can hit them with the facts and the mystery. Are they genetically gifted? Are they secretly an elite controller? Or are they just lucky? What about you? Are you the one who catches every cold? Or are you basically invincible?
The mind-blowing mystery of Savant syndrome. All right, picture this. A young boy sits quietly in class, struggling with basic conversation, barely making eye contact and often misunderstood. But then, he walks over to a piano and within seconds plays an entire symphony he heard once, perfectly. Or he sees a city skyline for just a moment and then draws it, every detail, from memory, down to the number of windows. Sounds like a movie, right? Like something out of Rain Man or Good Will Hunting. But guess what? This isn't Hollywood. This is real life. And it's called Savant syndrome. It's one of the most fascinating and still unexplained mysteries of the human body and mind. Here's a wild fact for you. There are documented cases of people with severe brain injuries, and after the accident, they suddenly developed incredible abilities. We're talking genius-level math skills, photographic memory, the ability to play multiple musical instruments, or insane artistic talent, even though they had zero training before. It's like their brain rewires itself and unlocks a hidden superpower. Scientists call this acquired Savant syndrome. And yeah, it sounds like science fiction, but it's 100% real, and we still don't fully get how or why it happens. Okay, let's break this down. Savant syndrome is a rare condition where someone with a developmental disorder, brain injury, or disability also possesses an extraordinary ability in a specific area. This could be insane mathematical calculations, perfect musical talent, hyperrealistic artistic ability, photographic memory, language learning at lightning speed. The most famous type of Savant syndrome is often linked with autism, but it can also appear after strokes, head trauma, or other brain-related injuries. What makes this so fascinating? These individuals often struggle with basic life skills like communication, social interaction, or even day-to-day tasks, yet their brain can perform feats most of us could only dream of. Scientists have been scratching their heads over this for decades. Here are the top theories floating around. Theory 1. The brain's hidden potential. Some experts believe that all human brains might have these incredible abilities hidden deep inside, but in most of us, they're locked away, buried under all the noise and distractions. In savants, brain injuries or developmental differences might unlock these dormant talents by altering how their brain processes information. Theory 2. Left brain shutdown, right brain takeover. Our brain has two sides. Left side equals logic, language, everyday tasks. Right side equals creativity, patterns, artistic ability. In many Savant cases, damage to the left side forces the right side to step up, leading to hyper-developed skills in art, music, or memory. It's like the brain says, okay, one system's down, but let's crank this other one to 11. Theory 3. Neural rewiring after trauma. In cases of acquired Savant syndrome, where people develop genius abilities after head injuries, the theory is that the trauma rewires the brain. New neural connections form, sometimes in unusual ways, leading to these sudden, extraordinary skills. Crazy, right? It's like your brain does an emergency software update and accidentally installs a genius patch. But here's where things get super weird and still unexplained. Scientists can observe these abilities, they can scan the brain, they can study behavior, but they still can't fully explain why only certain abilities appear, math, music, or art, but not others. Why Savant syndrome happens in such a small number of people. How people can have almost no formal training and yet perform at expert levels. And why some savants can do things no average person ever could, no matter how much they practice. Some researchers even speculate that the human brain, under normal circumstances, deliberately filters out vast amounts of information to avoid sensory overload. But in savants, that filter might be damaged or removed, allowing raw, unprocessed genius to emerge. It's a mind-blowing idea. And honestly, we're still only scratching the surface. Here are some real-life examples that sound straight out of a movie. Derek Paravicini, blind, severely autistic, and unable to perform basic tasks, but can play any song after hearing it once and improvise like a jazz legend. Stephen Wiltshire, nicknamed the Human Camera, he can look at a city skyline for just a few minutes and then draw it in perfect detail, down to the number of windows, from memory. Leslie Lemke, born blind and with severe brain damage, but at 16, after hearing a piano concerto for the first time, he sat down and played it flawlessly, note for note. And perhaps the most shocking, cases where ordinary people hit their head or experience a stroke and wake up suddenly gifted in music, math, or language. No explanation, just boom, Genius unlocked. It really makes you wonder, what's hiding inside your brain? What hidden abilities might all of us have, just waiting to be discovered? Or is Savant syndrome proof that the brain is way more mysterious and powerful than we ever imagined? Honestly, the fact that science can't fully explain this, that just makes it all the more fascinating. So let me ask you, if you could unlock one hidden talent instantly, what would it be? Perfect memory? Insane piano skills? Speaking 10 languages? Drop your answer in the comments. I love hearing your thoughts.
Near-death experiences. Have you ever heard those stories? The ones where someone almost dies and they come back with a wild tale that sounds straight out of a movie? Maybe they say, "I saw a bright white light," or "I met loved ones who had passed away. I was floating above my own body, watching everything happen." It's spooky, it's fascinating, and it happens way more often than you think. We're talking about near-death experiences, or NDEs for short. And despite decades of research, brain scans, and scientific theories, we still don't fully understand what's going on when people have these experiences. But buckle in, because today we're diving into one of the weirdest unsolved mysteries about your body. What happens to your mind when you almost die? Here's a mind-blowing fact to kick things off. It's estimated that around 10 to 20% of people who go through clinical death and are revived report experiencing some form of NDE. That's millions of people worldwide saying they've seen or felt something after technically being dead. Crazy, right? And here's the thing. These reports share eerie similarities no matter where the person's from, what they believe, or what language they speak. So naturally, scientists, doctors, philosophers, and curious folks like us have been obsessed with this mystery for decades. First, let's clear this up. What exactly is a near-death experience? An NDE usually happens when a person is clinically dead or extremely close to death. Think heart stops, brain activity flatlines, massive trauma, then they're revived or miraculously survive. During that window, many report experiencing things like seeing a bright tunnel of light, meeting deceased loved ones or spiritual beings, floating above their body like an out-of-body experience, feeling overwhelming peace or love, experiencing their entire life flash before their eyes. Now, to be clear, this isn't some fringe belief. Top universities, hospitals, and neuroscientists have studied NDEs for years. But explaining them? Yeah, that's where things get messy. So what does science think might be happening here? There are a few leading theories, but no definitive answers. Theory 1, brain chemistry flood. One of the most popular ideas is that when your body's shutting down, your brain releases a massive surge of chemicals. Think endorphins, DMT, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters flooding your system all at once. This chemical cocktail could trigger vivid hallucinations, create feelings of peace, or cause time to feel distorted, give you intense dream-like visuals. In short, your brain's trying to comfort you during the final moments, or misfiring as it loses oxygen. Theory 2, lack of oxygen. When your heart stops or your breathing fails, your brain gets starved of oxygen. Some researchers believe lack of oxygen causes neurons to fire abnormally, leading to tunnel vision, bright lights, or floating sensations. It's like your brain's struggling to function, and weird stuff happens as it fades out. Theory 3, REM intrusion. REM sleep, the stage where we dream, sometimes leaks into wakefulness during trauma or near-death situations. This could explain out-of-body sensations, hallucinations, seeing deceased loved ones. Basically, your brain starts dreaming while you're technically awake or dying. Creepy, but plausible. Theory 4, consciousness beyond the brain. Okay, now here's where things get really weird. Some scientists and philosophers argue that NDE suggests consciousness might not entirely depend on the physical brain. In other words, could your mind, soul, or awareness exist separately from your body? There are documented cases where people report details about their surroundings, like conversations doctors had while they were clinically dead, with no brain activity. How? We don't know. But it's enough to give even hardcore skeptics a pause. Despite decades of study, here's what remains a complete mystery. Why do so many NDE reports share the same details regardless of culture or beliefs? How can people see or hear things while their brain shows no activity? Why do some people experience NDEs and others don't, even in identical medical situations? Is it purely brain chemistry, or is something more metaphysical happening? There's also the fact that some NDE survivors come back changed. They report losing fear of death, feeling more compassionate or spiritual, having altered personalities or outlooks on life. Again, science has no clear explanation for why that happens. Let me hit you with a few real-life stories that'll blow your mind. Pam Reynolds' case, 1991. During brain surgery, her body was cooled to near death. Heartbeat stopped, brain waves flatlined. But when she was revived, she described details of the operation, conversations, tools used that she couldn't have seen or heard. Doctors were baffled. Divers NDE. A man nearly drowns, goes unconscious, but describes floating above the water watching his own rescue. His account matches the timeline despite being clinically out. Cardiac arrest cases. Countless patients report vivid NDE during cardiac arrest, even when monitors show no measurable brain activity. And it's not just isolated stories. Major studies, like the AWARE study, have tried to test NDEs with hidden targets in hospitals to see if out-of-body experiences are legit. Results? Mixed. But the mystery remains. So what do you think? Is a near-death experience just the final glitch of the dying brain? Or maybe, could it be proof that consciousness survives after death? Maybe we're not supposed to know the full answer. Personally, I think the fact that science doesn't have a concrete explanation yet, that makes this topic even more fascinating. And hey, let's be real. Whether you believe it's brain chemistry, spiritual realms, or something we can't even imagine, it's kind of comforting to think, maybe, there's more to the story when we leave this world. So, have you or someone you know ever experienced an NDE? If you're comfortable, share your story in the comments.
Why do we laugh? All right, let's set the scene. You're hanging out with your friends. Someone tells a joke. Maybe it's not even that funny, but suddenly you're all laughing so hard your stomach hurts, your eyes are watering, and you can't even breathe. Sound familiar? Yeah. Laughter, one of the most universal, contagious, and frankly, bizarre things humans do. But here's the wild part. For all the technology, brain scans, and research we've done, science still doesn't fully understand why we laugh. No joke, pun intended. We know how laughter happens physically, but the deeper why, the evolutionary reason, the brain chemistry, the social function, still kind of a mystery. And today, we're unpacking all of it. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Did you know rats laugh? Yeah, I'm serious. Researchers discovered that if you tickle rats, they make these tiny ultrasonic giggle sounds. We can't hear them with the naked ear, but special microphones pick them up. So laughter isn't just a human thing. It shows up in other species too, which means whatever this weird reflex is, it must be important. But what exactly is it? And why do we do it? First off, let's talk mechanics. Physically, laughter is a rhythmic, involuntary contraction of the diaphragm and vocal cords. Your face muscles twitch, your breathing changes, sometimes you tear up, and your brain releases a lovely cocktail of chemicals like dopamine and endorphins. But that still doesn't answer why it happens in the first place. Think about it. Laughter isn't always a response to humor. We laugh when we feel nervous, get surprised, experience social awkwardness, hear something genuinely funny, bond with people. It's like this multi-purpose emotional release valve. But evolutionarily, what's the point? Okay, scientists have a few theories, but spoiler alert, none of them explain everything. Theory 1, social bonding tool. One of the strongest ideas is that laughter evolved as a way for humans and even other animals to build connections. In groups, shared laughter reduces tension, signals safety, builds trust, reinforces group identity. It's basically nature's icebreaker. A laugh says, hey, we're cool. You're safe with me. And that makes sense, right? Think about how contagious laughter is. Even if you don't know what the joke was, hearing people laugh makes you smile or chuckle along. It's like your brain wants to join the fun, even if it's confused. Theory 2, defense mechanism. Another idea is laughter is actually a primitive defense mechanism, a non-threatening way to diffuse dangerous or tense situations. Imagine two early humans in the wild. One hears a rustle in the bushes. They both freak out. Fight or flight kicks in. Then, it's just a squirrel. They both laugh, release the tension, and go back to their day. That nervous laughter could be hardwired from those moments. Theory 3, play signal, like in animals. In animal behavior studies, many species use laughter-like sounds during play. It tells others, hey, this is just for fun. No one's getting hurt. We humans might have inherited that system. Our version, jokes, banter, teasing, all marked with laughter to say, this is playful, not serious. But here's the thing. Even with all those theories, there are massive gaps in what science can explain. Like, why do people sometimes laugh at tragic or inappropriate moments? Why do some people laugh when they're nervous, scared, or even angry? Why is laughter so contagious? Even babies laugh before they understand humor. Why can laughter sometimes be unstoppable? Ever had one of those I can't breathe, tears streaming laughter attacks? And get this, scientists still can't fully agree on what parts of the brain control laughter. Different studies point to the frontal cortex, the limbic system, the emotion center, the hypothalamus, even the brain stem. It's like laughter isn't one simple thing, but a glitchy, fascinating mashup of emotion, biology, and evolution. Ready for some weird laughter trivia? Let's go. Pseudo-bulbar effect. Some people have neurological disorders that cause uncontrollable laughter or crying at random. It's called pseudo-bulbar effect, and it shows how laughter can be disconnected from emotions entirely. Laughter epidemics. In 1962, a laughing epidemic broke out in Tanzania. Hundreds of people couldn't stop laughing for days or even weeks. Schools had to shut down. To this day, no one fully understands what triggered it. Babies laugh before they talk. Most babies start laughing around 3 to 4 months old, long before they understand humor or jokes. It shows that laughter is deeply hardwired into us, not just a learned behavior. Laughter yoga is a thing. People literally meet up just to force themselves to laugh, because even fake laughter can trigger real mood-boosting chemicals. Your brain doesn't always know the difference. So, why do we laugh? To bond? To survive awkwardness? To connect as humans? To cope with fear? Honestly, maybe all of the above. And maybe science hasn't caught up with just how weird and wonderful laughter really is. But hey, while the scientists figure it out, let's enjoy it. After all, what's life without those moments where you laugh so hard you can't breathe? Those inside jokes with your best friends. That random giggle attack at 2 a.m. That stupid meme that hits way too hard. It's all part of the mystery.
Goosebumps.
Why do we still get them? All right, let me paint a picture for you. You're listening to your favorite song. That one part hits, the chorus, the drop, the violin solo, boom, your skin tingles, and suddenly, goosebumps. Or maybe you're watching a horror movie. Something creepy happens, the music shifts. Suddenly, goosebumps. Or hey, ever been out on a cold morning in just a t-shirt? Your skin goes bumpy like chicken skin, and your tiny hairs stand up like they're trying to fight the cold? Yeah, we've all been there. But have you ever stopped and wondered, why? Why does our body react like that? Why does our skin literally try to puff up like a scared animal? And more importantly, in 2025, with smartphones, AI, and space tourism, why do we still have this weird ancient reflex that, let's be real, doesn't seem super useful anymore? Here's the fun part. Science kind of still doesn't fully know. Sure, we've got theories, but the full picture, still blurry. Let's dive in. First off, fun fact to mess with your head. Humans aren't the only ones who get goosebumps. Ever seen a scared cat? Its fur puffs up, its tail turns into a giant bottle brush, or a porcupine raising its quills. Same basic reaction. Turns out, goosebumps are part of a very old survival system that we, well, mostly outgrew. But somehow our body didn't get the memo. Let's break it down scientifically. The technical term for goosebumps is piloerection. Fancy word, but here's what happens. Your skin is covered in tiny muscles called erector pili muscles. When these little guys contract, they pull your hair follicles upright, making your skin look bumpy. It's an involuntary reflex controlled by your autonomic nervous system, the same system that handles your heartbeat, breathing, and sweating without you thinking about it. So, okay, cool. We know how it happens, but why? What purpose does it serve? Scientists have tossed around a few solid theories. Theory 1. The ancient threat response. Back in our caveman days, or even further back when we were furry little mammals, piloerection was all about intimidation. When threatened, our ancestors' body hair would stand up, making them look bigger and scarier. Think of a frightened cat, or a porcupine raising its quills. It's basically nature's version of saying, hey, back off, I'm way bigger than I look. Humans, well, our body hair game is pretty weak these days, so when we get goosebumps, we mostly just look cold or creeped out. But the reflex? Still there. Thanks, evolution. Theory 2. Insulation in cold temperatures. Another practical use? Warmth. When your body detects cold, it triggers goosebumps to raise your hairs, trapping a thin layer of air close to the skin. That air acts as insulation, like a natural built-in blanket. It works great if you're, say, a bear. Humans, not so much. Unless you're particularly hairy, it's not winning you any survival points. But again, reflex still there. Theory 3. Emotional response. The weird one. Here's where things get funky. We also get goosebumps from emotions. Music, art, nostalgia, fear, even falling in love. These can all trigger that same reaction. Why? Scientists aren't totally sure. One idea is that strong emotions activate your sympathetic nervous system, the same fight-or-flight pathway as physical threats. Your body gets confused and reacts physically even when there's no danger. Basically, your nervous system is like, oh my god, feelings, better prepare for battle, or maybe, I don't know, raise the arm hairs. Yeah, super advanced system. Here's the mystery part that science still can't crack. Why do only certain people get goosebumps from music or art? Why do some people get them super easily and others never? Why does your body trigger a physical survival reflex for a song or memory? Why did evolution keep this reflex even though it's basically useless in modern humans? How is it connected to chills, shivers, and even intense emotional peaks?
We have brain scan studies that show areas like the amygdala and hypothalamus lighting up during emotional goosebumps, but there's no unified theory yet. It's like your brain, body, and emotions are doing this ancient glitchy handshake, and nobody told them to stop. Want to geek out more? Check these out. Some people never get emotional goosebumps. There's even research showing genetic differences affecting how easily people experience chills from music or art. Music-induced goosebumps means highly emotional brain. People who experience them tend to have more connections between auditory and emotional processing regions. Translation, you feel music on a deeper level. Pretty cool, right? Or pretty chill. Okay, bad pun. Universal reaction. Across cultures, humans experience goosebumps the same way. From Arctic tribes to tropical islands, this ancient reflex doesn't discriminate. Other mammals still rock the goosebump look. Monkeys, dogs, cats, porcupines, they all still rely on piloerection for warmth or intimidation. Humans? We just get awkwardly bumpy skin. So yeah, goosebumps. Your body's ancient, slightly useless, but weirdly poetic reaction to life. Part survival reflex, part emotional glitch, part leftover from a time when humans were a little furrier and a lot more primal. And science? Still trying to untangle the full why. But honestly, I kind of love that we don't fully understand it. It makes those moments, when a song hits your soul, when fear sneaks up, or when love gives you literal chills, a little more magical.
Sleepwalking. How the heck does that even happen? Okay, picture this. It's the middle of the night. Your partner, roommate, or family member suddenly gets out of bed. Eyes open, but kinda glazed over. They shuffle across the room. Maybe they mumble something weird. Maybe they head straight for the fridge and start making a sandwich. Or worse, they try to leave the house. But here's the spooky part. They're completely asleep. Their eyes are open, their body is moving, but their brain still in dreamland. Sleepwalking. One of the creepiest, weirdest, and most unexplained things your body can do. And here's the kicker. Even with all the fancy brain scans and sleep studies, science still doesn't fully understand how or why it happens. Yeah, buckle in. This one's wild. Fun fact. Well, maybe fun, definitely unsettling. There are real recorded cases of sleepwalkers cooking full meals, driving cars, wandering outside in the snow, even committing crimes they had no memory of. Imagine explaining that to the police. Yeah, officer, I was asleep the whole time. Sounds insane, right? But it's real. And that's why sleepwalking sits high on the list of things your body does that science can't totally explain. First, let's talk about sleep itself. Your sleep isn't just on or off. It's made up of cycles. 1. Non-REM sleep. Light sleep, deep sleep, called slow-wave sleep. 2. REM sleep, where your brain gets super active, dreams happen, your body is basically paralyzed to stop you from acting out those dreams. Here's the weird part. Sleepwalking happens during deep, non-REM sleep, not during dreams. It's called a parasomnia, which is a fancy word for weird things your body does while you sleep. During deep sleep, your brain should be in chill mode. But with sleepwalking, something misfires. Your brain gets stuck between sleep and wakefulness. Parts of your brain controlling movement wake up, but the parts responsible for logic, memory, and awareness still snoozing. So your body gets up. It moves. It opens doors. It talks nonsense. But you're basically offline. Total glitch in the human system.
Here's where things get juicy. Why does the brain partially wake up? Why only certain people? Why do some sleepwalkers do complex tasks while others just stand there? Why can't they remember anything? And why does it happen more in kids than adults? Science has theories, but no solid answers. Some researchers believe it's a leftover from ancient survival instincts. Like, imagine early humans needing to react quickly to danger, even while half asleep. Sleepwalking could have been nature's way of saying, okay, there's a threat, get moving, brain can catch up later. But that's just a theory. The real mechanics? Still a puzzle. Want to get even more creeped out? Check out these true cases. 1. The sleep driving incident. A woman in the U.S. was found driving 15 miles from her house, completely asleep the whole time. Doctors confirmed she had no drugs, no alcohol, just an extreme case of sleepwalking. 2. Sleepwalking chef. Some people have been known to cook elaborate meals in their sleep, chopping veggies, turning on the stove, all while technically unconscious. 3. The famous murder case. One of the most controversial, a man claimed he killed his wife while sleepwalking. Courts debated for years whether that was even possible. Yeah, sleepwalking isn't always innocent or funny. Sometimes it's downright terrifying. Okay, to be fair, scientists do know a few things that can increase sleepwalking risk. 1. Genetics. If your parents were sleepwalkers, congrats. You've got better odds of wandering the halls at 2 a.m. 2. Sleep deprivation. The more exhausted you are, the higher the chance your sleep cycles get weird, opening the door literally to sleepwalking. 3. Stress and anxiety. Your brain under pressure doesn't always switch off properly at night. 4. Alcohol or certain medications. Some substances mess with sleep stages, triggering parasomnias like sleepwalking. 5. Childhood. Kids are way more likely to sleepwalk. Most grow out of it by their teens, but not everyone. But here's the thing. Even with these clues, scientists still can't predict exactly when or why it happens. Some sleepwalking actions are so weird you'd think they belong in a movie. Wandering outside barefoot in freezing temperatures, making eggs or pancakes while unconscious, rearranging furniture or stacking objects, walking around hotels or airports during vacations, speaking in gibberish or shouting random words. And the creepiest part? Many sleepwalkers have their eyes open. They look awake, but their mind is nowhere to be found. Total zombie mode. In short, yeah, sleepwalkers have fallen down stairs, walked into traffic, injured themselves cooking or using tools, even climbed out of windows. Yikes. That's why doctors recommend locking doors and windows, removing sharp objects, avoiding bunk beds for known sleepwalkers, stress management, and sleep hygiene. But again, no guaranteed cure. Because, frustratingly, science still doesn't fully understand the root cause. So next time you see someone sleepwalking, or wake up and your roommates made a sandwich in their sleep, or you find yourself standing in the hallway at 3 a.m. with no memory how you got there, just remember, your brain is weird. Your body is weirder. And sleepwalking, one of the strangest, glitchiest leftovers from human evolution, we still can't totally explain. But hey, have you or someone you know ever sleepwalked?
All right, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in the middle of a dream and suddenly you realized, wait a minute, I'm dreaming? And then you didn't wake up. You stayed inside the dream. But now you were fully aware. Maybe you could fly. Maybe you decided to explore.
Maybe you messed with reality like it was your own personal video game. If that's ever happened to you, congratulations! You've experienced one of the strangest, coolest, and still totally unexplained abilities of the human brain: lucid dreaming. Now here's the crazy part. People have been talking about lucid dreams for literally thousands of years. Ancient philosophers, monks, even some scientists today, they all agree that it's real. But how does it happen? And why can your brain suddenly wake up inside a dream while your body is still fast asleep? That, my friends, is still one of science's big mysteries. Let's break it down simply. A lucid dream is a dream where you become aware that you're dreaming. It usually happens during REM sleep. That's the stage where your brain is super active, your eyes dart around under your eyelids, and most of your vivid dreams happen. Normally, during a dream, you just go along for the ride. Weird stuff happens. Talking animals, flying cars, your ex shows up out of nowhere. But you don't question it. It feels real, even though it makes zero sense. But sometimes, something clicks. Your conscious mind wakes up while your body stays asleep. Suddenly, you're inside the dream world, but you know it's not real. And if you're lucky, you can control what happens next. Fly across the city, talk to your dream characters, explore impossible places. Yeah, some people can do all that. Here's the weird thing. Even though millions of people report lucid dreaming, even though scientists can monitor brainwaves and confirm when it happens, we still don't fully understand why it happens or how some people seem naturally better at it than others. Is it just random? Is it a glitch? Is it an advanced mental skill we're only beginning to tap into? Nobody really knows, but researchers have theories. Theories about how lucid dreaming works. 1. Prefrontal cortex activation. Some studies show that during lucid dreams, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and self-awareness, turns back on. Normally, this area is mostly shut down during sleep, but in lucid dreamers, it lights up just enough to spark awareness without fully waking them up. 2. Blurring the line between sleep and wakefulness. Some scientists think lucid dreaming happens because the boundaries between sleep and wakefulness get blurry. Your body stays asleep, but parts of your conscious mind sneak back online. 3. It might be trainable. Certain people, like experienced meditators or those who practice specific dream techniques, seem to have more lucid dreams. That suggests it's not just random. Maybe your brain can learn to do it more often. Lucid dreaming isn't just some fringe internet myth. Famous people throughout history have talked about it. The Greek philosopher Aristotle wrote about people being aware in their dreams. Some Tibetan monks practice dream yoga, where they learn to control their dreams as part of spiritual training. Modern scientists like Stephen LaBerge have even done lab experiments confirming lucid dreaming is real. In fact, some volunteers in sleep labs have been trained to signal when they're lucid dreaming by moving their eyes in a specific pattern under closed eyelids. The researchers can track it on monitors in real time. Wild, right? If you can master lucid dreaming, the possibilities inside your mind are kind of limitless. People report flying like a superhero, exploring impossible landscapes, talking to people who've passed away, in dream form, of course, facing fears in a controlled environment, practicing skills like playing music or sports. Some even claim it's therapeutic. facing nightmares on purpose, confronting personal fears, all inside the safety of your own mind. But of course, lucid dreams aren't always sunshine and rainbows. They can get weird, they can get intense. Sometimes people report sleep paralysis or unsettling dream logic creeping in. A lot of people want to experience lucid dreams more often. Good news is, it might be possible to train your brain. Here are some common techniques. 1. Reality checks. During the day, constantly ask yourself, am I dreaming? Look at your hands. Check the time. Try to push your finger through your palm. If you build the habit while awake, it might carry over into your dreams. 2. Dream journaling. Write down your dreams every morning. The more aware you are of your dream patterns, the more likely you'll recognize when you're dreaming. 3. Mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, or MILD. Before sleep, repeat a phrase like, I will realize I'm dreaming. It sounds simple, but it works for some people. 4. Wake back to bed, or WBTB. Wake up after 5 or 6 hours of sleep, stay awake for a short time, then go back to bed. This can boost your chances of entering REM sleep consciously. None of these are guaranteed, but plenty of people swear by them. So, here's the deal. Your brain is capable of some insanely weird stuff. Lucid dreaming? It's like hacking your own consciousness, exploring your mind like it's a video game. And yet, science still doesn't fully understand how it works or why we even have this ability in the first place. But hey, if you've ever had a lucid dream, or want to, drop your story or questions in the comments. I'd love to hear what your brain has cooked up while you were asleep.
Phantom pain. How can you feel pain in a limb that doesn't exist anymore? Imagine this. You lose an arm, a leg, maybe a finger. It's gone. Physically, it's not part of your body anymore. But somehow, you still feel it. Not only that, sometimes it hurts. You feel itching, burning, and pressure. Pain in a part of your body that literally isn't there. That, my friends, is what doctors call phantom limb pain. And trust me, science still doesn't have a full explanation for it. And this isn't some rare freak occurrence. It happens to a lot of people who've had amputations. In fact, studies suggest that up to 80% of amputees report phantom sensations. And a big chunk of them say it's not just a weird feeling, it's full-on pain, burning, stabbing, aching, tingling, all in a body part that no longer exists. And it doesn't stop there. Some people with spinal cord injuries, or even people born without certain limbs, report phantom sensations. Yeah, even if the body part was never there to begin with, the brain sometimes acts like it was. Okay, let's get nerdy for a second. Why does your body pull this bizarre trick on you? The truth is, even the best neuroscientists are still scratching their heads. But here's what they think is going on. Inside your brain, there's this thing called the body map. It's basically a blueprint your brain uses to keep track of your body parts. Every arm, leg, finger, toe, your brain has a specific area dedicated to sensing it. But when you lose a limb, that area in the brain doesn't just shut down. It stays active. And sometimes it starts sending out signals anyway. It's like your brain is still expecting input from that missing limb. And when it doesn't get it, it fills in the blanks itself. Unfortunately, sometimes those signals register as pain. There are a few competing ideas trying to explain phantom pain. None of them are fully confirmed yet, but they all point to how weird and complex the brain is. 1. The brain rewiring itself. Neuroplasticity. When you lose a limb,
The brain doesn't like leaving that space empty. It starts rewiring, and nearby areas on the body map might take over. For example, if you lose your hand, the area that controls your face might creep into the old hand territory. And suddenly, touching your cheek could trigger the sensation that your missing hand is being touched. Creepy? Totally. Fascinating? Absolutely. 2. Nerve damage and misfiring. Another theory focuses on your nerves. After an amputation, the nerve endings at the site can form bundles called neuromas. These damaged nerves can start firing off random signals, and your brain interprets those signals as pain from the missing limb. 3. It's all in your head. Literally. Some researchers believe phantom pain is entirely generated by the brain itself. It's your brain's way of trying to make sense of missing input. And sometimes it gets the signals wrong, and pain shows up. Here's where it gets even stranger. Phantom pain doesn't just happen with arms and legs. People have reported phantom pain after losing a breast, mastectomy patients, phantom sensations from missing teeth, even phantom pain after losing an eye. Basically, if your brain had a map for it, it can potentially create phantom sensations for it. Now, if you're thinking, well, that sounds miserable, can anything be done about it? The answer is kinda. Phantom pain is notoriously difficult to treat, but there are some options. Pain medications, though they often have limited success. Mirror therapy, where patients use mirrors to trick the brain into thinking the limb is still there. Virtual reality therapies, using computer-generated limbs to retrain the brain. Nerve blocks, or even surgery in severe cases. But the truth is, there's no guaranteed cure. And the medical community still doesn't fully understand why these treatments work for some people and not for others. The bottom line is, phantom pain shows just how powerful and confusing your brain really is. It proves that pain isn't always about injury. Sometimes it's about perception. Your brain can literally create pain out of thin air, out of habit, out of expectation. And as weird as that sounds, that's actually part of what makes humans so fascinating. Phantom pain is one of those medical mysteries that reminds us we know a lot about the human body, but there's still so much we don't understand, especially when it comes to the brain.
The placebo effect. How can your brain trick your body into healing? All right, let me tell you one of the wildest, most baffling stories in all of medicine. Imagine you're sick. Headache, nausea, pain, you name it. So you go to a doctor. The doctor hands you a pill, tells you, this'll help. You take the pill, and boom, you feel better. But here's the twist. The pill? It's nothing. Sugar, salt, literally useless, chemically speaking. And yet, your symptoms improve. Your pain decreases. Your body starts to heal. That, my friends, is the bizarre, mind-blowing power of the placebo effect. In simple terms, the placebo effect happens when you feel better just because you believe a treatment is working, even if that treatment has no real medical ingredients. It could be a sugar pill, a fake surgery, a saline injection. Doesn't matter. If your brain thinks it's real, your body sometimes reacts like it is. And sometimes, that reaction is powerful enough to reduce pain, fight symptoms, and even speed up recovery. And this isn't some fringe, rare thing. It's been studied over and over and over again. In fact, in clinical drug trials, scientists expect the placebo effect to show up. That's why they do double-blind studies,
So neither the patient nor the doctor knows who's getting the real medicine and who's getting the placebo. And guess what? In tons of studies, people who got fake pills still reported less pain, reduced depression, better sleep, lower anxiety, even improved heart health. And sometimes the placebo effect is so strong it messes up the results of actual drug trials because people are getting sugar pills, start improving just from belief alone. Now, this is where it gets freaky. How can your brain think something works actually trigger real physical changes in your body? Science is still working on the full explanation, but here's what we know so far. 1. Brain chemistry changes. When you believe you're getting medicine, your brain starts releasing chemicals like endorphins, natural painkillers. Dopamine makes you feel good. Serotonin boosts mood. These chemicals can reduce pain, improve mood, and help your body relax. Basically, your brain becomes your own personal pharmacy. 2. The body's built-in healing systems activate. Your immune system, your nervous system, even your hormones, they're all listening to your brain. If your brain believes help is on the way, sometimes your body acts accordingly. Inflammation goes down, heart rate improves, you might even heal faster. 3. Expectation changes reality. It's not magic, it's psychology and biology working together. If you expect to feel better, you pay more attention to positive changes. You might even move differently, eat differently, sleep better. All tiny factors that can snowball into real health improvements. And it's not just pills, by the way. Get this. In some studies, researchers have performed fake surgeries. That's right. They cut people open, but didn't actually fix anything inside. Then they stitched them back up, and guess what? Some of those patients reported feeling better afterward. Less pain, improved mobility, all from a surgery that technically never happened. It's wild and a little unsettling. Here's the thing. Even though scientists see the placebo effect in action, we still don't fully understand the mechanics behind it. How does belief override biology? Why do some people experience huge improvements, while others don't feel a thing? And is there a limit to how far belief alone can take you? We don't have all the answers yet. And honestly, the placebo effect makes it really tricky to run proper medical trials. It blurs the line between real treatment and mental influence. Skeptics sometimes say, it's all psychological. But here's the deal. Even if it starts in your head, the changes can be physical and measurable. Brain scans show reduced pain signals. Blood tests reveal lower inflammation. People's symptoms genuinely improve. So yeah, it starts with belief, but it doesn't stay just in your mind. Oh, and there's a dark side to all this. Just like belief can help you heal, negative belief can make you feel worse. It's called the nocebo effect. If a doctor tells you this treatment might cause side effects, even if it's fake, you might experience those side effects just from expectation alone. Headaches, nausea, fatigue, all triggered by your brain, not the treatment. The power of the mind? It cuts both ways. The placebo effect is one of those body mysteries that shows your brain and your body are connected in ways we still don't fully understand. Belief, expectation, perception. They're not just abstract feelings. They can shape your physical reality. Pretty incredible, right?
So, have you ever experienced the placebo effect? Ever taken something, even a vitamin or herbal remedy, and felt better, but later realized maybe it was your brain doing all the work?
False memories. When your brain remembers things that never happened. Okay, let's get real for a second. Have you ever been 100% sure about something? Like no doubt in your mind, only to find out later you were completely wrong. Maybe you swear you locked the door, or you vividly remember a conversation that never actually happened. Or even more bizarre, you remember an event from your childhood, and your family tells you that never happened? Well, guess what? That's not just forgetfulness. That is your brain pulling one of its weirdest tricks: false memories. In simple terms, a false memory is when you clearly recall something that never actually occurred. But here's the kicker. It feels just as real as your true memories. Same detail, same confidence, same emotional connection. Your brain fabricates a memory, and you believe it without question. False memories aren't some rare freak psychological glitch. They happen to everyone, all the time. Famous example: the Mandela effect. Millions of people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison during the 1980s. But that never happened. He was released. He became South Africa's president. He passed away in 2013. Yet thousands of people remember it differently. And it gets weirder. People remember the Monopoly man with a monocle. He doesn't have one. They swear the Berenstein Bears were spelled Berenstein. They weren't. Luke, I am your father. Darth Vader never actually says that line. These shared, widespread false memories make researchers scratch their heads. How can so many people confidently remember something that never happened? Here's where your brain gets sneaky. Memory isn't like a video recorder. You're not playing back real footage. Your brain reconstructs memories, piece by piece, every time you recall them. And during that process, things get fuzzy. 1. Suggestion and influence. One of the biggest causes of false memories is suggestion. If someone tells you, "Remember when we saw that UFO?" Even if you didn't, your brain might create that memory to fill the gap. The more people around you believe it, the more confident you become that it happened. 2. Traumatic or emotional situations. Total memory warping zones. Your brain fills in blanks with what it thinks makes sense, or it mixes details from other experiences. The memory feels crystal clear, but the details? Totally unreliable. 3. Brain's shortcut system. Your brain is constantly taking mental shortcuts to save energy. It categorizes, connects, and predicts information. But sometimes those shortcuts overwrite actual memories or insert completely false ones. Neuroscientists have studied false memories for decades. Brain scans show that when people recall false memories, the same areas of the brain light up when they recall true memories. The hippocampus, your brain's memory center, and the prefrontal cortex, involved in decision-making and reality checking, they both play a role. But here's the problem. The brain isn't great at separating fact from fiction. If the memory feels real, your brain treats it like it is real. Honestly, not entirely. And that's kind of terrifying. Eyewitness testimony, often unreliable. Studies show that people can confidently recall faces, events, or even crimes and be completely wrong. That's why false memories have massive consequences in courtrooms, and why some criminal convictions have been overturned when DNA evidence proves the memory was false. Believe it or not, researchers have successfully implanted false memories in study participants. They use suggestions, leading questions, and photoshopped images, and suddenly, participants remember getting lost in a mall as a child or meeting a cartoon character at Disneyland, even though it never happened. It's unsettling, but it shows how malleable your memory really is. Not necessarily. Sometimes your brain uses false memories to protect you. Trauma? Your brain might rewrite the memory to make it less painful, or create gaps to shield you from distress. In other cases, false memories can make your life feel richer, like you remember details of a happy moment, even if some of them didn't actually happen. It's not always deception. Sometimes it's your brain's way of storytelling or survival. Despite decades of research, scientists still don't completely understand why some people are more prone to false memories, how shared false memories like the Mandela effect happen on a global scale, and whether we can truly prevent them. The human memory system is still one of the biggest mysteries in neuroscience. So here's the takeaway. Your memory is powerful, but it's also flawed. It feels solid, but in reality, it's flexible, fragile, and shockingly easy to manipulate. And maybe that's not entirely a bad thing. It shows how creative, adaptable, and downright weird the human brain really is. But I'm curious, have you ever been sure about a memory, only to find out later it never happened?
Laziness. Why does your body sometimes just refuse to do anything? Be honest. Have you ever had one of those days? You know the ones. You wake up, maybe you had plans to be productive. Hit the gym, clean your room, start that project you've been putting off. But instead, you sit on the couch, scroll through your phone, maybe binge watch a few episodes of your favorite show. And suddenly, it's nighttime, and you've done nothing. And the worst part? You knew you should have done something. You'd wanted to, sort of, but your body just refused. Sound familiar? Welcome to the mysterious, frustrating world of laziness. People love to throw that word around, lazy. But what does it actually mean? Is it just a lack of motivation? Is it being tired? Is it a character flaw? Or could it be something deeper, maybe even biological? Believe it or not, science still doesn't completely understand why laziness happens. But what we do know might surprise you. First things first, feeling lazy doesn't automatically mean you're weak, broken, or hopeless. In fact, it might be your brain and body doing exactly what they were designed to do. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Your body loves to save energy. Let's take a little trip back in time. Imagine being a human 100,000 years ago. No cars, no smartphones, no refrigerators full of snacks. Back then, every calorie counted. You had to hunt for food, walk for miles, avoid predators. Wasting energy, that could literally kill you. So evolution did what it does best. It makes your brain and body wired to avoid unnecessary effort. If there's no immediate reward, like food or safety, your body whispers, "Why bother?" Some scientists believe laziness isn't a flaw, it's a biological survival mechanism. The fancy term, energy conservation strategy. Basically, your body defaults to low-effort mode, unless there's a really good reason to get moving. Unfortunately, in the modern world, that survival feature kinda backfires. Because now we have unlimited snacks, comfy couches, and endless entertainment. Our bodies still want to conserve energy, but the threats of the wild are gone. So we end up scrolling TikTok for 3 hours instead of exercising. If it was just about saving energy, why do some people seem super motivated all the time, and others struggle to even start? That's where things get tricky. Turns out, laziness is way more complex than pure biology. Scientists believe it's actually a mix of brain chemistry, mental health, sleep patterns, diet, and even genetics. Your motivation levels aren't entirely under your control. Sometimes your brain literally isn't firing the right signals to get you moving. A huge player in this game is dopamine, the famous motivation chemical. When you do something rewarding, finishing a task, eating good food, exercising, your brain releases dopamine. That makes you feel good, which encourages you to do it again. But here's the problem. For some people, that dopamine system doesn't function properly. Or their brain only releases dopamine for instant gratification, like scrolling your phone, but not for long-term goals. The result is you should do something productive, but your brain doesn't reward that behavior, so you don't feel motivated. Here's where it gets interesting. What we often call laziness could actually be a symptom of other issues. 1. Mental health. Depression, anxiety, burnout, all of these can drain your energy and motivation. But from the outside, it just looks like you're lazy. In reality, your brain is struggling, not slacking off. 2. Sleep and nutrition. Lack of sleep, poor diet, vitamin deficiencies, all of these can make your body feel sluggish, and your brain is less sharp. Again, it looks like laziness, but it's your body operating at low power mode. 3. Overwhelm and procrastination. Ever been so overwhelmed by a task that you just do nothing? That's not laziness. That's your brain going into avoidance mode. It feels easier to do nothing than face the stress. Here's the good news. Laziness isn't permanent, and you're not doomed. But it takes strategy, because fighting against your brain's energy-saving instincts, that's no small task. Some proven tricks? Break big tasks into tiny, manageable steps. Reward yourself after small wins. Fix your sleep schedule. Eat real food. Reduce decision fatigue by planning ahead. Basically, you have to hack your own biology, trick your brain into building momentum, one tiny step at a time. Despite all we know, there are still huge mysteries around laziness. Why do some people seem naturally driven? Can your motivation levels change over time? Is chronic laziness a brain chemistry issue or purely habit-based? Science doesn't have all the answers yet, but what's clear, laziness isn't just about being weak or unmotivated. It's wired deep into the human machine. So next time you feel lazy, cut yourself some slack. It's not weakness, it's biology, psychology, and yeah, maybe a little bit of modern-day couch temptation. But with the right awareness and a few brain hacks, you can outsmart your own built-in laziness. But hey, I'm curious, what's the laziest thing you've done recently? And what helps you snap out of it?
Migraines, the mysterious headache science still can't fully explain. Okay, let me start by asking, have you ever had a headache so brutal that it made you want to crawl into a dark room, lie completely still, and just disappear for a while? If you know that feeling, chances are you've experienced a migraine. But here's what's wild. Even though migraines affect millions of people worldwide and have been around for centuries, science still doesn't fully understand why they happen. It's like the brain just decides to throw a full-blown internal tantrum, and we have to suffer the consequences. Most people think migraines are just bad headaches, but ask anyone who's actually had one, and they'll tell you it's a whole different beast. A migraine isn't just pain in your head, it's a full-body experience. It can come with nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light and sound, blurred vision, even strange neurological symptoms like numbness or difficulty speaking. And here's the scariest part. It can last for hours, sometimes days, and when it finally fades, you feel like you've just survived a war. Scientists have been trying to crack the migraine code for decades, and we still don't have a complete answer. But there are theories. 1. The brain misfiring theory. One of the leading ideas? Migraines start in the brain itself. Specifically, your neurons, the brain's communication cells, start firing in a way they're not supposed to. This triggers a wave of electrical activity, followed by a wave of suppression. It's called cortical spreading depression. Catchy name, right? This process may affect blood flow, irritate nerves, and cause that signature migraine pain. 2. Blood vessel theory. For years, scientists thought migraines were all about blood vessels. The theory? Blood vessels in your brain dilate, expand, causing pressure and pain. But recent research shows it's not just the blood vessels. It's a combination of nerve signals, brain chemistry, and vascular changes, all happening together in a perfect storm of misery. Genetics. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Migraines also tend to run in families. If your parents get migraines, chances are you might too. Researchers have even identified certain genes that make people more prone to these episodes. But they still don't fully understand how those genes trigger migraines. Here's where it gets frustrating. The list of possible migraine triggers? Massive. For some people, it's stress, hormonal changes, bright lights, strong smells, lack of sleep, even certain foods like chocolate, cheese, or wine, even changes in the weather. The worst part, it's different for everyone. What ruins one person's day might have zero effect on someone else. And sometimes you can do everything right and still, bam, migraine out of nowhere. Some migraine sufferers experience something called an aura. It's like your brain sending a spooky little heads up. Hey, bad time's incoming. Aura symptoms can include flickering lights or blind spots in your vision, tingling or numbness, trouble speaking clearly, muscle weakness. It's unsettling, but also weirdly fascinating. It shows how much migraines affect your whole nervous system, not just your head. For some people, migraines are annoying but manageable. For others, they're completely debilitating. Chronic migraines, meaning 15 or more migraine days per month, can wreck your quality of life. It affects work, relationships, and mental health, everything. Some people even lose jobs or struggle with depression because of how unpredictable and overwhelming migraines can be. Despite all our fancy brain scans and research, we still can't fully explain migraines. Sure, we have treatments, painkillers, triptans, migraine-specific meds, Botox for chronic cases,
even new medications that block certain nerve signals. But there's no guaranteed cure and no universal explanation for why they happen in the first place. Researchers are still piecing together the puzzle. Migraines aren't some modern problem. Historical records show people have suffered from them for thousands of years. In ancient Greece, physicians described pain on one side of the head, which we now recognize as a classic migraine symptom. Back then, treatments were, let's just say, questionable. Some involved drilling holes in the skull to release evil spirits. Ouch. Thankfully, medicine has evolved. A little. So, if you're one of the unlucky folks who deal with migraines, first off, I feel for you. It's rough. But also, you're part of a group that science is still trying to understand. And every new study brings us a little closer to answers. In the meantime, share your experiences. Have you ever had a migraine? What helps you get through it? Or maybe you've discovered your weirdest migraine trigger, like, I don't know, eating a banana on a rainy Tuesday.
Yawning. Why do we yawn, and why is it weirdly contagious? All right, quick question for you. Did just reading the word yawning make you feel like yawning? Be honest. Are you yawning right now? If you are, don't worry, you're not alone. Yawning is one of the most bizarre, automatic things our bodies do, and science still can't fully explain it. I mean, think about it. 1 second, you're fine. The next second, wide mouth, deep breath, maybe a stretch, and boom, yawn. It happens when you're tired, when you're bored, and strangely enough, even when you see or hear someone else yawn. But here's the million-dollar question. Why? Why do we yawn? What's the point? And seriously, why is it so contagious? Let's dive into the mystery. Okay, for a long time, people thought yawning was just your body's way of grabbing extra oxygen. You know, like you're tired, your breathing slows down, so your brain isn't getting enough oxygen, and yawn, problem solved. Sounds logical, right? Well, not exactly. Researchers tested this theory, and guess what? It doesn't really hold up. People who breathe more oxygen don't yawn less, and people in low oxygen environments don't yawn more than usual. So that theory kind of falling apart. Here's where things get interesting. One of the newer theories suggests yawning is actually your brain's way of cooling itself down. Think about it. Your brain is like a high-powered computer. It generates heat when it works hard. Some scientists believe yawning helps bring cooler air into your mouth and nasal passages, which cools the blood flowing to your brain and helps regulate its temperature. Kind of like your brain saying, "Whew, I'm overheating. Quick cool down, please." There's even some research showing that people yawn more when their brain temperature rises and less when they're in cooler environments. It's not 100% proven, but it's one of the more popular modern theories. Here's another wild fact. Humans aren't the only yawners on the planet. Animals do it too. And not just your sleepy cat or lazy dog. We've observed yawning in birds, snakes, fish, monkeys, even penguins. And get this, some animals yawn as part of their social behavior, which brings us to the next weird piece of this puzzle. Okay, this one freaks people out, but it happens all the time. You see someone yawn, in real life, in a video, heck, even reading about it, like you're doing now, and suddenly you feel the urge to yawn too. Why? The contagious yawn is one of those biological quirks that scientists still don't completely understand. But here are a few leading ideas. 1. Empathy and social bonding.
One theory is that contagious yawning is linked to our ability to feel empathy. When you see someone yawn, your brain's mirror neurons fire, the same ones responsible for understanding other people's feelings and behaviors. Basically, your brain copies the yawn as a way to strengthen social connection, kind of like saying, "Hey, I'm in tune with you." Interestingly, studies show that people are more likely to catch a yawn from friends, family, or people they like, less so from strangers or people they dislike. Number 2, group synchronization. Another theory, it helps synchronize behavior in groups. Think about animals in the wild. If one member of the group yawns, it might signal tiredness, danger, or the need to rest. The rest of the group catches the yawn, and suddenly, everyone's on the same page. It's a subtle biological way of syncing up group behavior. We may have inherited this from our animal ancestors. Of course, we all know yawning happens when you're sleepy, but even that isn't fully understood. Some scientists think it's your body's way of keeping you alert when your energy dips. Others think it's your brain trying to cool down as it starts to get fatigued. But here's the plot twist. People also yawn when they're nervous, stressed, or bored. Pilots sometimes yawn before takeoff, not because they're sleepy, but because of tension. Athletes sometimes yawn before a competition. Same deal, nerves, not exhaustion. So, clearly, there's more to yawning than just, "I'm tired." Despite all these theories, brain cooling, empathy, group behavior, the truth is, yawning remains one of the unsolved puzzles of human biology. There's no single, universally agreed upon explanation. And for something so common, it's kind of amazing how little we actually know. Sure, you can fake a yawn, but triggering a real yawn on command? Surprisingly hard. It shows how deeply automatic and subconscious this reflex really is. So the next time you yawn, whether you're tired, bored, stressed, or just watching someone else yawn, remember, your body might be doing way more than just stretching your jaw. It could be cooling your brain, bonding with people around you, or tapping into ancient primal instincts. And hey, I gotta ask, did I make you yawn at any point during this video? Be honest. Tell me in the comments.
Exploding head syndrome, the scary sound that comes from inside your own head. It's late at night. You're finally drifting off to sleep. The room is quiet. Everything's peaceful. And then, out of nowhere, boom! You hear this insanely loud noise, like a gunshot or an explosion. But when you bolt upright, heart racing, you realize it came from inside your head, and no one else heard a thing. Terrifying, right? Well, believe it or not, this is a real thing. It's called exploding head syndrome. And yeah, the name sounds dramatic, but trust me, it fits. And here's the craziest part. Even after decades of research, scientists still don't fully understand what causes it or how to make it stop. Despite the Hollywood-sounding name, exploding head syndrome, or EHS for short, is not your head actually exploding. It's a type of sleep-related hallucination, where people hear sudden, loud noises that seem to come from inside their own skull, right as they're falling asleep, or sometimes when waking up. We're talking sounds like bomb explosions, gunshots, cymbals crashing, electrical buzzing, or sometimes just a massive pop. But here's what's wild. There's no actual sound happening in the room. It's all generated by your own brain. Way more common than you'd think. Studies estimate that up to 1 in 10 people will experience exploding head syndrome at least once in their life. And for some folks, it happens repeatedly. Interestingly, it often starts in young adults, people under high stress, people with disrupted sleep patterns. But really, it can happen to anyone. Most people describe it as you're just about to fall asleep. Your body feels heavy. Your mind is drifting. Then suddenly, wham! That loud, jarring noise snaps you awake. Some people also feel a flash of light, a sense of panic, muscle twitches, a racing heartbeat. It's so intense, a lot of people think something serious just happened, like a stroke or seizure. But medically, there's usually no danger. Here's where science gets stumped. We don't have a clear answer, but there are a few leading theories. One, neural misfiring during sleep transitions. One idea is it's your brain glitching out during the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Normally, your brain shuts down certain functions in stages. But in EHS, parts of your auditory system might get overactivated for a split second, creating that massive internal sound. Basically, it's like your brain accidentally hits the wrong button on the sleep control panel. 2. Stress and sleep deprivation. Stress, anxiety, and poor sleep habits seem to play a big role. People going through high-stress periods or suffering from insomnia report higher rates of EHS. It's almost like your brain is so overwhelmed, it starts sending false danger signals right as you're about to power down for the night. 3. Mini-seizures. Some researchers think exploding head syndrome could be linked to tiny, harmless seizures in the parts of the brain that process sound. It's not proven, but it could explain why the experience is so sudden and intense. Here's the good news. As scary as it feels, EHS is not considered physically dangerous. There's no brain damage, no real explosions happening. And for most people, it's just a freaky but harmless sleep phenomenon. But that doesn't mean it's fun. For people who experience it regularly, it can cause serious anxiety, fear of falling asleep, and insomnia. There's no official cure yet, but there are ways to reduce the chances. Improve sleep hygiene, reduce stress and anxiety, avoid excessive caffeine or stimulants. Some doctors may prescribe low-dose medications like antidepressants or epilepsy meds for severe cases. But again, since we still don't fully understand the cause, treatment is kind of a guessing game. Exploding head syndrome might sound modern, but some historians think it's been around for centuries. Old writings mention people hearing sudden loud noises while falling asleep, often described as spiritual attacks or demonic disturbances. Turns out, it might have just been their brain playing the same weird tricks people still experience today. So next time you hear a massive bang in your head as you're drifting off, try not to panic. Chances are, it's your brain just being weird. And honestly, the human brain pulling stunts like this just proves how much we still don't know about ourselves. But I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced exploding head syndrome or something similar?
Consciousness. What is it, and why can't we explain it? Okay, buckle in for this one, because out of all the weird, unexplained things your body does, this might just be the biggest, deepest, and honestly, the most mind-blowing mystery of them all. Consciousness. Yeah, that thing happening right now inside your head. The little voice narrating your life. The feeling of being you. Think about it. You're not just a body made of cells and chemicals. Somehow, inside all that biology, you are aware. You experience the world. You think, you feel, you know that you exist. But
How and why? And where does that awareness actually come from? Here's the wild part. For all our fancy technology, scientific breakthroughs, and deep dives into the human brain, we still don't know. Not really. Not even close. Good question. And honestly, depends who you ask. Philosophers, scientists, psychologists, they've been arguing about it for centuries. But most people agree on a basic definition. Consciousness is your subjective experience of the world. It's what it feels like to be you. The sights, the sounds, the emotions, the constant inner movie playing inside your head. It's not just your brain processing information. It's the fact that you're aware of that information, that you can think about your thoughts, feel your feelings, and know that you exist. Pretty trippy when you stop and think about it, right? Here's where it gets frustrating. In science, we can explain a lot about the brain. We know how neurons fire, we can map brain regions that control movement, language, memory. We can even predict your decisions based on brain scans, sometimes before you consciously make them. But none of that explains how raw, subjective experience arises. This is called the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers. The hard problem asks, how does physical matter, neurons, chemicals, electrical signals, give rise to subjective experience? How does a lump of brain tissue create feelings, thoughts, self-awareness? Short answer, we have no idea. Over the years, people have thrown around some pretty wild theories, some more scientific, some more philosophical. Here are a few. 1. Consciousness emerges from complexity. One popular theory says consciousness arises when a system becomes complex enough, like your brain. Billions of neurons firing together, processing insane amounts of information. And at a critical point, awareness emerges from all that complexity. But even this theory admits it still doesn't explain how that leap happens. 2. Panpsychism. Consciousness is everywhere. Okay, buckle up for the weird one. Panpsychism suggests consciousness isn't something that only complex brains produce. Instead, it's a fundamental property of the universe, like gravity or time. In other words, everything has some level of consciousness, even tiny particles, atoms, maybe even rocks or trees. Though not like thinking, just some raw, basic awareness. Sounds wild? Yeah, but even top scientists like neuroscientist Christoph Koch have said it's worth considering. 3. Simulation theory. What if consciousness isn't real? Of course, you can't talk about this stuff without bringing up the classic simulation theory. What if reality isn't what it seems? What if our conscious experience is actually part of some advanced computer simulation? It sounds sci-fi, but some serious thinkers like Elon Musk and Nick Bostrom have said the math behind this idea isn't as crazy as it sounds. But even if that's true, it still doesn't explain what consciousness is. It just kicks the mystery up another level. That's the big question. And right now, science is divided. Some researchers believe we'll crack the consciousness code eventually. We just need better tools, more data, and deeper understanding of the brain. Others think consciousness might be fundamentally beyond human understanding, like trying to teach a goldfish quantum physics. After all, we're using our conscious minds to try and understand consciousness itself. It's like a flashlight trying to shine light on itself. Kinda impossible. Quick side trip. What about animals? Do dogs, cats, dolphins, even insects have consciousness? Science suggests that many animals do have some level of awareness. They feel pain, emotions, even grief.
But do they experience the same rich inner world as humans? Still up for debate. Some researchers think dolphins, elephants, and certain birds might have a surprising level of self-awareness. Others say we're projecting human experience onto them. You might be wondering, okay, cool, but why should I care? Here's why. Consciousness is at the heart of literally everything that matters to you. Without it, there's no love, no creativity, no fear, no joy, no curiosity, no sense of you. It's also central to some of the biggest ethical debates. When does a human fetus become conscious? Are AI systems developing anything close to consciousness? How should we treat animals based on their level of awareness? Understanding consciousness isn't just a philosophical exercise. It affects medicine, technology, ethics, even our future as a species. At the end of the day, consciousness remains the ultimate unsolved mystery. We live with it every second of our lives. It defines everything about our experience, and yet we barely understand it at all. Kinda humbling, right? But hey, what do you think consciousness is? Is it just your brain doing complex calculations? Or is it something deeper? Something science hasn't caught up to yet?
Sleep. The thing we all do, but science still can't fully explain. What's the weirdest thing your body forces you to do every single day for hours, where you basically lie down, go unconscious, ignore the world, and hope your body remembers to keep breathing? Yep, sleep. It sounds so normal, but when you really stop and think about it, sleep is kind of insane. We spend roughly a third of our lives asleep. That's like if you live to 90, you'll spend about 30 years completely knocked out. And here's where it gets even weirder. After centuries of studying sleep, with brain scans, lab tests, sleep clinics, we still don't have a clear, satisfying answer to the most basic question. Why do we even need to sleep? To be fair, science has made progress. We know sleep isn't just shutting your brain off. It's actually a superactive process. While you're asleep, your body and brain are hard at work. Your brain consolidates memories. Your body repairs tissues and muscles. Hormones are regulated. Your immune system gets a boost. Brain cleanup crews clear out waste. It's basically like night shift maintenance for your body. But here's the kicker. We can explain what happens during sleep, but not fully why sleep evolved in the first place. Because from an evolutionary perspective, sleep seems kind of dangerous. Think about it. In the wild, sleep makes you completely vulnerable. You're not gathering food. You're not finding a mate. You can't defend yourself. For survival-focused evolution, that sounds like a terrible idea. So why didn't nature evolve a way for us to stay awake 24/7, but still get all those benefits? Clearly, sleep must be doing something so essential, so irreplaceable, that evolution couldn't get rid of it despite the obvious risks. But what exactly is that essential thing? That's still the big question. Over the years, scientists have proposed a bunch of ideas. None of them are the full answer, but each gives us a piece of the puzzle. 1. Restoration and repair. One classic theory is that sleep lets your body repair itself. During deep sleep, muscles rebuild, tissues heal, the immune system strengthens. Your brain also clears out waste products, including things that build up during the day, that might be linked to diseases like Alzheimer's. Basically, sleep is when your body hits the reset button. 2. Memory and learning. Ever pull an all-nighter and feel like your brain is made of mashed potatoes? Sleep is crucial for memory and learning. During sleep,
especially REM sleep, your brain organizes and strengthens new memories. Without enough sleep, your ability to focus, retain info, and solve problems tanks. In fact, some studies suggest you keep learning even while you sleep as your brain reviews and processes new experiences. 3. Energy conservation. Sleep lowers your metabolism, so some scientists think it evolved partly as a way to conserve energy, especially for species that can't hunt or gather food at night. By sleeping, you're burning fewer calories, reducing your need for constant food intake. Sounds practical, but again, it doesn't fully explain why such risky behavior stuck around. 4. Brain detox, the glymphatic system. Here's a newer, fascinating theory. In 2013, researchers discovered that during sleep, the brain activates something called the glymphatic system, basically a cleaning crew that flushes out toxins and waste products from your brain tissue. It only works properly when you're asleep. So sleep isn't just about resting. It's a crucial time for brain maintenance and possibly protection against neurological diseases. The truth is, sleep touches so many body systems and seems so essential, but no single theory explains it all. It's like the more we study sleep, the more complicated it gets. Some researchers think sleep might serve multiple overlapping purposes: physical, mental, evolutionary, all rolled into one mysterious biological package. Others admit we still don't even know how consciousness connects to sleep. Like, where does your sense of self go when you're in deep sleep? Yeah, it gets philosophical real fast. Dolphins sleep with half their brain at a time, so they can keep swimming and breathing. Some birds sleep while flying, especially during long migrations. The longest recorded time a human stayed awake is about 11 days. But after just a few days, people experience hallucinations, paranoia, and cognitive breakdown. Sleep deprivation can literally kill you. Severe, prolonged sleep loss affects the immune system so badly it becomes life-threatening. And for all the people who think, I'll just sleep when I'm dead, bad news. Chronic sleep deprivation stacks up over time. It messes with your memory, your mood, your heart health, your metabolism, your immune system. It's basically slow-motion self-destruction. So yeah, even if we don't fully understand why sleep evolved, we know skipping it comes with serious consequences. Sleep, the one thing we all do every single day that science still can't completely explain. We know it's essential. We know weird stuff happens when we sleep: dreams, memory processing, brain cleanup. But the full, simple answer to why? Still out of reach. But hey, maybe that's okay. Maybe some mysteries about being human are supposed to keep us curious. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you someone who falls asleep instantly, or do you toss and turn for hours? Have you ever had weird sleep experiences, like sleep paralysis or talking in the sleep?
Changing eye color. You look in the mirror one day, and suddenly your eyes look different. Maybe they're a bit lighter. Maybe they've got this greenish tint that wasn't there yesterday. Or maybe they've gone from hazel to brown to... Wait, are those flecks of blue? It sounds like sci-fi or some weird vampire movie trope. But here's the thing. Some people's eye color can actually change over time. And no, I'm not talking about colored contact lenses or filters. We're talking about real, biological, mysterious changes happening right in your eyeballs. And, surprise, surprise, science still doesn't have all the answers. Okay, let's rewind a bit. In theory, your eye color is determined by genetics. It depends on how much melanin, that's the pigment that gives color to your skin, hair, and eyes, is present in your iris, which is the colored part of your eye. The more melanin, the darker your eyes. Lots of melanin equals brown or black eyes. Less melanin equals green or hazel eyes. Very little melanin equals blue or gray eyes. Pretty straightforward, right? Genes, melanin, done deal. Or so we thought. Because for some people, their eye color doesn't stay fixed. We're not talking about babies here. It's pretty normal for babies to be born with blue or gray eyes and then develop darker eyes in the first few years of life as melanin production ramps up. But for teenagers, adults, even elderly people, eye color can still shift. It might happen gradually over years, or suddenly after an illness, or even in response to light, mood, or other factors. And that is where the mystery begins. There are actually tons of stories out there. People noticing their eyes change from brown to hazel, hazel to green, green to blue. Some report their eyes look different in the sun compared to indoors. Others say their eyes seem to shift depending on their mood, stress level, or health. Now, obviously, lighting, clothing, and surroundings can play tricks on your perception, but some of these changes are real, measurable, biological differences. And science, still scratching its head over the exact mechanisms. 1. Age-related changes. Just like your skin and hair can change over time, so can your eyes. For some people, melanin levels in the iris decrease with age, especially those with lighter eyes to begin with, making the eyes appear lighter or more translucent. In rare cases, darker eyes can lighten with age. It's subtle, but it happens. 2. Horner syndrome or other medical conditions. Certain medical conditions can cause one eye to change color or both eyes to shift slightly. Horner syndrome, for example, can reduce pigment in one iris, leading to a difference in eye color, called heterochromia. Inflammation, injury, or diseases like Fuchs' heterochromic iridocyclitis can also alter the appearance of the eyes. But here's the thing. Most of these cases involve illness or trauma. They don't fully explain healthy people whose eyes just change. 3. Emotional and environmental factors. Believe it or not, there's some evidence that intense emotions like stress, excitement, or sadness can subtly change how your eyes appear. Your pupils dilate or constrict based on emotions, which can affect how much light enters your eyes and how the color is perceived. Combine that with lighting conditions, and boom, your eyes can look lighter, darker, or even more vibrant. 4. The mood ring theory. Kinda. Okay, it's not an actual mood ring, but some people seem to have eyes that naturally appear to shift between shades based on lighting, surroundings, and even clothing color. For example, wearing a green shirt might make green flecks in your hazel eyes pop. Being out in bright sunlight might reveal golden tones that you barely notice indoors. It's optical illusion meets biology. But for some, the change is more than just an illusion. It's structural, cellular, and unexplained. There are even rumors about celebrities whose eye color changed over time. Elizabeth Taylor was famous for her violet-hued eyes, which some say shifted depending on lighting and makeup. Actor Henry Cavill, look closely. His eyes often appear blue in some scenes, green or gray in others. Sure, some of that's Hollywood lighting, but some of it might be nature doing its mysterious thing. In rare cases, yes, As we've seen, medical conditions, aging, or injury can lead to permanent color changes. There are also controversial surgical procedures out there claiming to change eye color, but they come with serious risks and aren't recommended. For most people, though, the subtle, natural shifts in eye color remain a curious, mostly harmless, biological mystery. So, the next time you catch your reflection and your eyes look a little different, a little brighter, darker, greener, bluer, don't freak out. You might just be experiencing one of the many unexplained quirks of the human body. Eye color. It's not always as fixed as we like to believe. And the truth is, science still doesn't fully understand why or how those natural changes happen. But hey, that just makes life and your reflection a little more interesting, right?
Sudden allergies. Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. You've spent your entire life eating peanuts, petting cats, walking through fields of flowers, or enjoying strawberries. No problems, no sneezing, no itchy eyes, no swollen lips, no drama. Life is good. And then, out of nowhere, boom! Your body suddenly declares war on strawberries? Or cats? Or your favorite hand lotion? Suddenly you're sneezing, itching, breaking out in hives, or worse, having full-on allergic reactions to things that never bothered you before. What's happening? Did your body just change its mind? Is your immune system bored? Are you becoming weaker with age? Well, the real answer? We don't entirely know. Yep. Here's another example of how your body does bizarre things that science is still struggling to explain. Quick science break. An allergy is basically your immune system getting a little overdramatic. Instead of calmly recognizing harmless things like pollen, peanuts, or pet dander, your immune system goes full DEFCON 1. It sees the harmless thing, freaks out, and releases chemicals like histamine to protect you. Problem is, there's nothing to actually protect you from. But the sneezing, rashes, swelling, or even life-threatening reactions happen anyway. It's like your body is firing missiles at a speck of dust. Classic overreaction. Here's where things get weird. For most people, allergies show up in childhood. You grow up knowing what you're allergic to, you avoid it, life goes on. But for others, allergies appear out of nowhere in your 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s. Perfectly healthy one day, miserable allergic mess the next. Why? Science has a few guesses, but no solid universal explanation yet. 1. Changes in your immune system. Your immune system is constantly evolving. Infections, stress, hormones, even aging can tweak how your body responds to things. Sometimes that means suddenly developing new allergies. For example, you get sick, your immune system goes haywire for a while, and when it resets, it decides that strawberries are now the enemy. 2. Environmental triggers. You move to a new city, start a new job, or adopt a cat. Suddenly, your body is exposed to allergens it never had to deal with before. The constant exposure can train your immune system to become sensitive. One day you're fine. Next, you're sneezing uncontrollably every time your cat walks by. 3. Gut health connection. Here's a theory that's been gaining attention. Your gut health, the balance of bacteria and microbes in your digestive system, might play a huge role in allergies. Changes in your diet, antibiotics, stress, or illness can disrupt your gut microbiome. And when your gut is out of balance, your immune system gets confused. Result?
sudden food allergies or sensitivities that seemingly come out of nowhere. 4. Hormonal shifts. Yep, hormones strike again. Pregnancy, puberty, menopause, all of these cause massive changes in your body. And sometimes they also trigger new allergies or make existing ones worse. There are even stories of women developing cat allergies after giving birth, or suddenly becoming allergic to certain foods after menopause. Science doesn't fully understand how hormones and allergies interact, but the connection is there. Funny enough, yes, just like your body can randomly decide to hate strawberries, it can also forgive them. Some people grow out of childhood allergies. Others lose adult-onset allergies after years. It's rare, but it happens. Again, we don't totally understand why. A guy in his 30s suddenly became allergic to his dog after having dogs his whole life. A woman developed a peanut allergy at age 40, despite loving peanut butter sandwiches for decades. Another person lost their shellfish allergy after a bout of stomach illness. Weird, right? Stories like these are surprisingly common. Doctors are baffled, science keeps digging, but the full picture? Still incomplete. Sometimes it's not even about food or pets. People have reported developing allergies to sunlight, water, yes, even water, cold temperatures, their own sweat. It sounds unbelievable, but medically documented cases exist. Imagine being allergic to your own tears or having a rash every time you shower. Makes those seasonal allergies seem mild in comparison. Here's the takeaway. Your body is unpredictable. Your immune system, even more so. One moment, strawberries are your favorite snack. The next, they're public enemy number one. Science is working hard to understand how, when, and why this happens. But for now, we're all stuck playing immune system roulette. Have you ever developed a random allergy out of the blue? Or maybe lost one?
Extreme temperature tolerance. It's winter, freezing cold. Everyone's bundled up like marshmallows. Puffy jackets, gloves, scarves. Their teeth are chattering, nose is red, fingers stiff. And then there's that one guy. You know the one, wearing shorts, no jacket, just casually walking around like it's summer, not a care in the world. Or maybe it's scorching hot. The sun's blazing, people are melting, sweating buckets. And yet, someone's just fine, barely sweating, no sign of discomfort. And you think, how? Are they some kind of mutant? Did they grow up in the Arctic? Are they secretly a robot? Well, as weird as it sounds, some people really do seem to have extreme temperature tolerance, and science still scratching its head on how the heck that works. In theory, the human body is designed to function within a pretty specific temperature range. Too cold, you shiver. Too hot, you sweat. Simple survival mechanisms. But for some individuals, their bodies operate like they have a built-in climate control system that's way more advanced than the rest of us. Let me introduce you to Wim Hof, also known as the Iceman. This guy has become famous for swimming under ice, climbing snow-covered mountains wearing only shorts, sitting in ice baths for over an hour, controlling his body temperature with just breathing techniques. Sounds impossible? Scientists have studied him, and while his exact ability remains a mystery, there's evidence his nervous system and metabolism are somehow wired differently. And he's not the only one. In various parts of the world, people like Tibetan monks have demonstrated the ability to meditate in freezing conditions and literally raise their body temperature.
Some desert nomads have been reported to endure extreme heat with barely any water, while the rest of us would be passed out after an hour. Here's where it gets interesting and confusing. Thermoregulation, or the body's ability to control its internal temperature, involves a complex system that includes the brain, specifically the hypothalamus, blood vessels, sweat glands, muscle activity like shivering, fat stores like brown fat. Most of us have a pretty average response to heat or cold, but some people seem to have more efficient heat production, better insulation, not just from body fat, more brown fat activation, which burns energy to generate heat, mind-work control over discomfort. But even with all those factors, the extremes some people endure still puzzle researchers. Possibly. There's evidence that certain genetic traits make people more tolerant of extreme temperatures. For example, people from indigenous Arctic populations have genetic adaptations for cold weather survival. But that doesn't fully explain why someone born and raised in a regular city can suddenly train themselves to tolerate freezing water like Wim Hof did. In fact, Hof claims that anyone can learn his techniques to improve temperature tolerance. But even with that, not everyone reaches the same superhuman level. Here's where it gets a little mystical. Some researchers believe mental state plays a huge role in how the body handles temperature stress. Things like meditation, breathing techniques, mind over matter beliefs can actually affect heart rate, blood flow, and even how your nervous system reacts to cold or heat. It's not magic, but the exact mechanisms, still a mystery. Maybe, to a point. Cold exposure training, saunas, proper hydration, breathing exercises, these can help build tolerance. But becoming completely immune to extreme heat or cold, probably not for everyone. There's still a biological limit. And ignoring it can be dangerous. But some rare individuals, they seem to have bodies that just defy the rules. And that's what science is still trying to figure out. A Dutch man ran a half marathon, barefoot, in the snow. Sherpa climbers of the Himalayas carry heavy loads up Mount Everest in extreme cold with remarkable efficiency. Certain desert tribes survive brutal heat with minimal water intake. Yogis in India demonstrate tumo breathing to heat their bodies during freezing conditions. It's not just folklore. Medical studies have confirmed these feats. But how exactly does the body adapt like this? Still not fully explained. The human body is weird. Amazing, but weird. Just when we think we've mapped out everything it can do, someone shows up walking barefoot through the snow or sitting in a sauna for hours and reminds us there's still so much we don't understand. And honestly, that mystery is kind of exciting. So, tell me, have you ever met someone who's weirdly immune to the cold? Or maybe you're that person. Or are you like me and start shivering at 20 degrees?
When your body gets itchy for literally no reason. All right, I need to ask. Have you ever been just chilling, watching TV, working, trying to sleep, and suddenly your arm itches, or your back, or that one annoying spot on your leg you can't quite reach? No bug bite, no rash, no allergic reaction, just itch. And the more you scratch, the itchier it gets, like your body's trolling you for fun. Well, guess what? You're not alone. And even better, science still doesn't fully understand why this happens. Yeah, Turns out, your body loves keeping secrets. Let's start with the basics. Itching, also known as pruritus, is supposed to be your body's alarm system. It evolved to protect you from parasites, insects, irritants, allergens. When your skin senses something irritating, it sends signals to your brain saying, "Hey, scratch this area before something worse happens." Simple survival mechanism. Totally makes sense. But then, there's random, unexplained itching, where nothing is crawling on you, nothing is irritating your skin, and yet your brain is screaming, "Scratch it!" Here's where it gets complicated and weird. Itching isn't just the skin problem. It actually involves your nervous system, specifically the same pathways that deal with pain. In fact, itching and pain are so closely connected that scientists believe itching is basically a mild, annoying version of pain, designed to make you react. But sometimes the nervous system gets glitchy and starts sending false itch signals for no good reason. Let's run through the theories. 1. Dry skin. But sometimes it isn't even dry. Sure, dry skin causes itching, but plenty of people get random itching even when their skin is moisturized and healthy. 2. Nerve misfires. Your nervous system sometimes misfires signals. This is especially common in people with nerve damage, after surgeries, and with certain neurological conditions. But it can also happen in perfectly healthy people, and no one really knows why. 3. Stress and anxiety. Yep, your mind can literally make your skin crawl. Stress and anxiety can trigger itching sensations, even without any physical cause. Ever notice your skin gets itchier when you're nervous, or you can't stop scratching during a stressful meeting? Blame your brain chemistry. Phantom itching. Kind of like phantom limb pain, some people experience itching in places that aren't even there anymore after amputations or nerve damage. Super bizarre and still not completely understood. 5. Histamine without a reason. Your body sometimes releases histamines, the chemical responsible for itchiness, even when there's no allergen present. Why? Great question. Science is still figuring that one out. Doctors have an actual name for unexplained itching: idiopathic pruritus, which is fancy medical speak for, "We don't know why you're itchy, sorry." It's frustrating. People can live with chronic, unexplained itching for years, going from dermatologist to neurologist to therapist with no clear answers. It can affect sleep, concentration, even mental health. And yet, in many cases, test results come back completely normal. Some people get random itching on the palms of their hands or soles of their feet. No rash, no reason. Others feel a crawling sensation on their scalp, but there's nothing there. There are cases of people feeling constant itching inside their skin, impossible to scratch away. There's even a rare condition called notalgia paresthetica, where people feel intense itching on a patch of their back, but the skin looks completely normal. It's thought to be nerve-related, but even that's still debated. Here's something even weirder. Talking about itching can actually make you itch. Reading this right now? Chances are you've already scratched your arm or your head or felt a little tingle somewhere. It's called contagious itching, kind of like how yawns are contagious. It's your brain being very suggestible. Science has studied this, and they still don't fully understand the mechanism. But it shows just how much your mind can influence your body in ways that don't always make sense.
When it's harmless, random itching, you can try moisturizing, cooling the area, distracting yourself, stress-reducing techniques. But for chronic, unexplained itching, doctors may recommend antihistamines, nerve medications, cognitive behavioral therapy for stress-related itching. The key point is, if it's intense, persistent, or affecting your life, get it checked out. Sometimes itching is a symptom of deeper medical issues. The human body is a prankster. It gives you itches for no reason. Your brain joins in, making it worse, and science still trying to catch up and explain the whole mess. But hey, at least you know you're not alone. We're all fighting the itch battle together. So, where's your most annoying random itch spot? Arm, back, that impossible to reach middle shoulder blade area?
The body's mysterious adaptations after severe trauma. Have you ever heard a story about someone who went through a horrific accident or a life-threatening surgery, and somehow their body changed in a way that no one could fully explain? Like, they heal faster than expected. They suddenly become resistant to certain things, or their body starts working differently altogether. It sounds like something out of a superhero origin story. But the weird part? It actually happens. And science still can't fully wrap its head around it. This is one of those moments where the human body goes, "Oh, you broke me. Cool. I'll rebuild. But maybe I'll come back weirder, stronger, or completely different." Let's dive into how the body mysteriously adapts after severe trauma, and how sometimes we still have no clue how or why it happens. First off, credit where credit's due. The human body is absurdly resilient. When you go through trauma, whether it's an accident, injury, major surgery, or severe illness, your body kicks into survival mode. It does things like speeding up tissue repair, rewiring neural connections, strengthening certain areas to prevent future damage, altering the way your immune system works. But sometimes it goes beyond what we expect, and that's where the real mystery begins. Here are some bizarre, real examples that science is still trying to make sense of. Number 1, unexpected super strength recovery. Some people regain mobility or strength after catastrophic injuries that should have left them permanently disabled. Doctors sometimes call it spontaneous recovery, which is basically a fancy term for we don't really know how that happened, but it did. Number 2, new skills after brain trauma. There are rare cases where people experience acquired Savant syndrome, where after a brain injury or stroke, they suddenly develop new talents, playing instruments, speaking new languages, doing complex math. And they didn't have those skills before. The brain somehow rewires itself and taps into hidden potential no one knew was there. Number 3, sudden immune disease resistance. In some odd cases, after severe trauma, people develop unusual resistance to illnesses, or their immune systems behave in new, unexplained ways. It's extremely rare, but enough to make researchers curious. Number 4, accelerated healing. Some individuals heal from surgeries, burns, or fractures way faster than expected. Doctors often chalk it up to good genetics or luck, but there's still no clear explanation why their recovery defies the normal biological timeline. Here's the thing. The human body has remarkable plasticity, which is just a fancy term for its ability to adapt and reorganize. Neuroplasticity, especially in the brain, if one area is damaged, other parts of the brain can sometimes take over lost functions. This is how some stroke patients relearn to walk or talk. Cellular regeneration.
In some tissues, like skin and liver, the body can rapidly produce new cells to repair damage. But sometimes, this regeneration happens faster or more effectively than expected, and no one exactly knows why. Immune system recalibration. Trauma often sends your immune system into overdrive. Occasionally, this leads to unusual forms of protection, or in rare cases, autoimmune conditions where the body starts attacking itself. The weird adaptations, still largely uncharted territory. Some people report subtle but strange changes after trauma, like food preferences completely changing, allergies disappearing or new ones appearing, different pain thresholds, temperature tolerance shifting, altered sleep patterns. Are these purely psychological, or is the body physically reorganizing itself? Truth is, science doesn't have a full answer. It's possible that trauma resets certain biological systems, but the precise mechanics? Still very much a mystery. We can't ignore the mind-body link in all this. Severe trauma isn't just physical, it's psychological too. And studies have shown that mental state can heavily influence pain perception, healing rates, immune responses, and hormone production. It's possible that in extreme cases, the mind plays a huge part in pushing the body to adapt in strange, unexpected ways. A construction worker survives a steel rod piercing through his skull and walks away with minimal cognitive damage. The brain somehow rerouted itself. Stroke survivors suddenly develop artistic talents they never had before. War veterans with limb loss report their remaining muscles becoming disproportionately stronger. People waking up from comas with different accents or altered personalities, a condition known as foreign accent syndrome, another mystery tied to trauma and brain rewiring. It raises the big question: does the body and the brain have hidden capabilities that only get unlocked through trauma? Some scientists think yes, that the human body has deep reserves of adaptive potential that we rarely tap into, unless pushed to the extreme. Others argue it's random chance or genetic lottery. But either way, the fact that these bizarre recoveries and adaptations happen at all keeps the medical world humble and reminds us how little we truly understand our own biology. The human body isn't just a machine, it's a mystery factory. It can break and then rebuild itself, sometimes in ways that science can't fully explain. So here's a question for you. Do you know anyone who made a crazy recovery after an injury? Or maybe you've experienced your body doing something bizarre after trauma?
Super strength during panic. All right, you know those stories that sound so crazy, you're not even sure if they're urban legends or real? Like the mom who lifts a car to save her trapped child. The guy who outruns a wild animal during a life or death situation. Or people who survive falls, crashes, or disasters, doing things that under normal circumstances, their bodies should never be capable of. Yeah, that's the magic and mystery of the adrenaline rush, or as some call it, temporary super strength. It sounds like comic book science, but here's the weird part. It's real. It happens. And scientists still can't fully explain the limits of what your body is capable of when it's in panic mode. Let's dive into how, when the stakes are high, your body basically says, okay, forget the rules, we're going all in. First, the technical side. When you're in a dangerous or high-stress situation, your brain triggers a fight or flight response. This causes your adrenal glands to flood your system with adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. These hormones work together to increase your heart rate, pump more blood to your muscles, boost oxygen delivery, sharpen your senses, and temporarily dull pain.
Basically, your body transforms into a biological survival machine. But sometimes, it goes beyond just heightened awareness. It gives you raw, terrifying strength. There are dozens of jaw-dropping documented stories out there. The classic, lifting a car. Parents lifting heavy vehicles to rescue trapped children. One famous case, a man in Virginia lifted part of a car off his teenage son after a jack collapsed. Medical professionals couldn't believe the strength he displayed. Surviving falls or crashes. People surviving plane crashes or severe car wrecks, walking away with injuries that should have been fatal, or somehow breaking out of wreckage using pure adrenaline-fueled strength. Extreme endurance feats. In war zones or natural disasters, people pushing their bodies beyond exhaustion, running miles or carrying heavy loads without stopping, only realizing the toll afterwards. The common theme? In those life or death moments, the body unlocks a temporary, unexplained reserve of power. Here's where it gets fascinating and frustrating. While scientists understand the basic biology of adrenaline, they still don't know the true upper limits of human strength under extreme stress. See, under normal conditions, your body holds back. It's like having a car with a speed limiter. Your brain prevents your muscles from working at full capacity to avoid injury, like torn ligaments, snapped tendons, or muscle damage. But when your life's on the line, that limiter turns off. Your brain says, screw the long-term consequences, survival first. Muscles that normally operate at 60% capacity suddenly push far beyond that. Pain perception dulls. Energy reserves flood your system. The result is moments of almost superhuman strength. That's the million-dollar question, right? If we can lift cars or sprint like superheroes when panicked, why not all the time? Simple answer, your body would destroy itself. The human body isn't built to handle full force exertion constantly. Pushing muscles beyond safe limits can tear tendons, snap ligaments, shatter joints, or cause internal damage. That's why the brain holds you back. But in life or death situations, it gambles everything on short-term survival. Afterwards, people often collapse from exhaustion or suffer injuries they didn't even notice at the moment. But even with all that biology, there are still unexplained cases. Some survivors report doing things that defy even the most generous estimates of muscle capacity. And in lab settings, researchers can't always replicate adrenaline-fueled strength because the real key ingredient is fear, panic, or pure survival instinct, which can't be faked under controlled conditions. It's like in those moments the body taps into hidden reserves that no scientist has fully mapped yet. Is it just strength? Nope. The adrenaline rush affects way more than just raw power. People report time slowing down, known as tachypsychia, sharpened vision and hearing, superhuman focus, total numbness to pain, memory gaps after the event. It's like the body transforms into a survival-optimized version of itself, with strength as just one part of the equation. It's not all heroic. Adrenaline-fueled strength has downsides, like severe muscle tears after the fact, joint damage, crippling exhaustion, and psychological trauma. Your body's basically borrowing power from your future self, and the bill always comes due. The human body is weirdly brilliant. Most of the time, it plays it safe, protecting you from yourself. But in the right moment or wrong moment, when survival's on the line, it throws caution out the window, and suddenly you're stronger, faster, more focused. For a brief, wild moment, you're capable of things you never thought possible. But here's the freaky part. Even with all our modern science, we still don't know the true limits of what adrenaline can unlock. The full potential hidden inside you? Still a mystery. So, have you ever experienced a real adrenaline rush? Felt your body do something crazy you couldn't explain?
Sudden genius after brain injury. Okay, buckle in for this one. Because if you've never heard of this phenomenon, it's going to sound completely made up. Imagine this. One day you're just normal, living your life. Maybe you're a mechanic, a factory worker, or a construction guy. Nothing out of the ordinary. You hit your head, maybe in a car accident, maybe a fall, maybe some freak medical situation. And when you wake up, boom, you suddenly speak fluent music. Or you can draw like a master artist. Or you see complex mathematical patterns in everything. Or, and this happens, you're solving equations you never learned in school. No, this isn't the plot of a movie. It's called acquired Savant syndrome. And science still has no solid explanation for how the heck this happens. Let's get into the weird world where brain injury turns ordinary people into accidental geniuses. First, a quick definition. A savant is someone with extraordinary abilities, often in areas like math, music, art, memory, spatial awareness. Some people are born that way. Think of it like super rare, super specific brain wiring. But here's where it gets wild. Acquired savant syndrome happens to people who weren't born that way. After a brain injury, stroke, or neurological event, they suddenly develop abilities they never had before. It's as if the brain unlocks a hidden upgrade, like finding a secret cheat code, but instead of unlocking all levels in a video game, you suddenly know how to play piano like Mozart, even if you never took a single lesson. Let me tell you some of the most mind-blowing real examples. 1. Derek Amato, the accidental piano prodigy. In 2006, Derek hit his head diving into a shallow pool. He suffered a serious concussion. But after recovering, he discovered he could play the piano beautifully, effortlessly, even though he had zero formal training. Melodies just appeared in his head. His fingers knew where to go. Doctors were baffled. MRI scans couldn't fully explain it. 2. Jason Paget, the math visionary. Jason was attacked outside a karaoke bar, punched in the head during a mugging. When he woke up, the world looked different. He saw geometric patterns everywhere, fractals, complex mathematical shapes. He started drawing them obsessively, even though before the incident, he had zero interest or knowledge in advanced math. Turns out, his brain injury somehow triggered synesthesia, a condition where senses overlap and mathematical genius emerged from the chaos. 3. Orlando Sorrell, the human calendar. At age 10, Orlando was hit by a baseball. Afterward, he realized he could remember the day of the week for any date. Past or future, rain or shine. Total calendar recall. Again, no explanation. It just happened. Here's where it gets frustrating. Even the smartest neuroscientists can't fully explain this. The leading theory is, when certain parts of the brain are damaged, other areas may compensate, unlocking dormant abilities. It's kind of like the brain has hidden files stored away, and an injury accidentally unzips them. Some researchers believe we all have these untapped potentials, but our brains are wired to prioritize other, more practical functions. When trauma scrambles the wiring, suddenly that hidden genius leaks through. But not everyone who suffers a brain injury becomes a savant. In fact, it's incredibly rare. That's part of the mystery. Why do only certain people unlock these abilities? Why those abilities? Why after trauma? Science doesn't know. Yet. You might be wondering, if brain injury can unlock genius, can we, do it safely? Good news. Scientists have tried, but not by bunking people on the head. In controlled settings, they've used transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, electrical brain stimulation. These techniques temporarily disrupt or activate certain brain regions. In some cases, volunteers show short bursts of enhanced memory, better math skills, sharpened artistic ability. But it's temporary, and nothing close to the full-blown lifelong talent seen in acquired savants. So for now, the only confirmed path to sudden genius, unfortunately, it involves some degree of brain trauma, not exactly something you want to try at home. Are there risks? Absolutely. Most acquired savants also suffer headaches, cognitive issues, memory gaps, sensory overload, emotional struggles. Gaining genius abilities doesn't mean everything is sunshine and rainbows. The brain rewiring comes at a price, and for many, it's as disorienting as it is fascinating. Here's the part that drives scientists nuts. We still don't know how common this potential is, why only certain areas, math, art, music, get unlocked, why the abilities emerge after damage, not before, whether everyone has hidden genius inside them. Could you, sitting there right now, have an undiscovered super talent just waiting for the right or wrong spark? No one knows. And that's what makes this so weird and so exciting. The human brain, it's a masterpiece of complexity. And clearly, we've barely scratched the surface of understanding it. Acquired savant syndrome reminds us that even after centuries of studying the brain, it still holds secrets. Some unlocked in the most unexpected and traumatic ways. So, what do you think? Is hidden genius lurking in all of us? Or is this just nature's most bizarre accident?